just see what it says. And it says we're live now. Let's see, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, it says we're live. Let me check on my mobile device, make sure that we are live. Because you can't trust technologies nowadays. So,
How apt for this discussion.
I know, right? Since we are talking about the mechanical marvel, more on that later. Yeah, we're live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of Leslie Chambers Kaiju Reviews. And oh my God, I have a few of my awesome co-hosts on Collectibles Monsters and my great friends from the other awesome Kaiju show on YouTube, Kaiju Live. So you can call this somewhat of a Kaiju Live / Collectibles Monsters super show. That's what you can call this. Oh my God.
Thanks for having
me. And it's on Saturday. It's a Saturday.
And it's on
super
Saturday.
Show.
So, and it's kind of early in the afternoon. So we're going to go ahead and get this show done for you. It should be a fun show. And we're here talking about the one and the only cyborg double of the King of the Monsters, the Bionic Monster, a.k.a. the Cosmic Monster, a.k.a. Kiryu, a.k.a. Godzilla. Man, damn it, Bernie. Forget the last one, because I can't stand that dude. I can't stand that black dude. I'm sorry. We're talking about the one and the only Mechagodzilla. Yes, we're talking about his film appearances, our perspective on his film appearances, as well as our favorite collectibles from our personal collections. We're talking about the one and the only Mechagodzilla. Oh my God. And I wanted to do this show for a couple of reasons, really. I know that our great friend on Collectibles Monsters, John Ruffin, is a huge Mechagodzilla fan. And when he talked about the new Art Spirits Legacy Mechagodzilla set on our last episode of Collectibles Monsters, that got my mind to think, like, you know what? We should do a Mechagodzilla-centric show where we talk about the various incarnations of the great cyborg, as well as his film appearances and our perspectives of that. And of course, we got a newbie in the room. You know, AJ Russo's been here a few times, or several times, but we have not had his awesome father, Frank Russo. I call him Papa Russo. And I know that he's a great fan. He loves mechas. So we're gonna dive through all of that on this show. Yes. So let me do the Steve Harvey thing. What your ass say? Yes. Let me introduce my awesome, fine co-host. Again, he's making his first appearance here on the show. The awesome father of AJ Russo of Kaiju Live, the one and only Frank Russo, Papa Russo. How you doing, good sir?
I'm doing good, Leslie. Thank you. Hello, everybody.
And of course, his awesome son. Yes.
Debatable.
AJ Russo. And this father and son tag team basically is behind the awesome YouTube collectible show, auction show that you see pretty much every Sunday night, the one and only Kaiju Live. Thank you, Russos, for being a part of this discussion of Mechagodzilla. Thank y'all so much.
Thanks for having me.
So glad to join the Collectibles Monsters cast. Thank you so much.
And speaking of Collectibles Monsters, this is going to be a good show, not a curse one, okay? So let's just get that out of the way, right?
Oh, behave now.
And you know what? Speaking of Collectibles Monsters, let's take it over to my main man up in Seattle, Washington. Kaiju photographer and artist extraordinaire, the one and only Eric Dopko. What's going on, David?
Hey, Leslie. Hey, everybody. So good to see you guys. I'm happy to have Frank and AJ join us today for this conversation, and it's going to be fun. And who knows where it will lead us down many roads, but it's definitely going to be fun. And real quick thing about Kaiju Live, I have still yet to win anything from Kaiju Live. I get tempted, and then I'm like, nah, I'm not going to win, because I always check out AJ's preview day, and I'm like, ooh. No, I better not. And then I look around in this room and it's like, nah, I better not. But one of these days, I will get something from that auction that's going to be awesome. And we'll do a special video about that when it happens. But
sounds good.
Glad to be here.
Between the collectible show on Kaiju Live, as well as the conversations that we have in the chat, it makes for a really fun experience. It's kind of like a mini family reunion, even though we're not together in person. More often than not, I do attend the shows when I can, but he's on late Sunday night, and sometimes I have to get up early in the morning to go to work on Monday. So sometimes I can't make the show, but I always make sure to check it out the very next day. And because his show, their show is just that awesome. Yes, it is.
Thank you so much, guys.
No problem, man.
Thank
No
you.
problem. Because I've seen you build your store and your brand from the ground up and seeing the process. You know, I know it has been an easy process for you, but you've done it through hard work for being great people. And I will always advocate for that. So congratulations for being where you are right now.
Indeed.
Thank you, guys.
That's very nice. Thank you.
And speaking of awesome, let's go down to Philly. Arguably, you know what? Not arguably. He's probably Mechagodzilla's, at least the show one's biggest fan. Yes. The one and only. Also, Kaiju photographer extraordinaire. The one and only MyKaiju.com. John Ruffin. What's going on, John?
Hey, thanks for having me, Leslie. It's great to be with the Russos. It's an honor. And David and Kyle, our co-hosts. So thanks, Leslie, for having invited me. I'm looking forward to the conversation.
No problem. And of course, the empty space in the bottom left-hand corner. There's, of course, the one and only Kyle Yount from Collectibles. There he is, from Collectibles Monsters. You know what? Just like Godzilla that appears out of nowhere in terror, there goes Kyle. There he goes.
I should have come up from the bottom, Pan.
Yeah.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Raised
Great
up.
Thank you so
to be
much.
here.
Rised up.
Thank you so much for being a part of this, Kyle. We do appreciate it. Of course, again, John, David, AJ, Papa Russo. Thank you so much. So before we go any further, let's say hello to people in the chat right now. Godzilla Train 1090. Oh my God, always supportive. Yes, he is. Kaiju Battle, what's up, my man? Varzilla, Joey Chapman, Tim Alton, Sandra Chambers. Hey, babe, I know you're downstairs, but I still love you to death. Yes, I do. Ultron Kaiju, Brutezilla, what's going on? He called me a dummy. How dare you? It's all fun. So thank y'all so much for being here with us as we discuss Mechagodzilla. And of course, like I said, Papa Russo, this is the thing I normally do for newbies in the room. So, but before we go into why you love mechas and cyborgs and robots and stuff like that, you have to tell us, what was your first Godzilla film that made you a fan, and what is your favorite Godzilla film? And let me just say, you have to say the correct title of the film, because your son almost made the cardinal mistake the first time he was on this show, because I asked him, I was like, what is your favorite Godzilla film? And he said,
I remember.
My favorite film is Godzilla vs. Mothra, because you know he had that New York accent, Mothra. And I was like, which one? He was like, 64, because I came this close to boot him off my deck.
I just don't want to give Martha the credit of that.
I'm in
I
trouble.
know, right?
I feel you on that, AJ.
So,
I taught him how to talk.
so Papa Russo, what was your first film, Godzilla film that made you a fan, and what is your favorite? The floor is yours.
I guess as a kid, I could remember, I guess it's Godzilla versus King Kong. King Kong versus Godzilla.
Nice.
Okay.
62.
And is that your favorite?
No, I wouldn't say that's my favorite.
What's your favorite suit?
Oh, yeah, true. But the movie, I liked, getting into the mecha. When 74 came out, I guess I was, 11, 12 years old. So...
I wasn't conceived yet.
No, not yet. Another few years. I was a kid that built a lot of I built bikes, go-karts. So seeing robots was something I could really be amazed by and relate to, these mechanical creations, So I just got totally sucked into it, and I was just in the fantasy. To me, yes, he was tremendous. He was gigantic like Godzilla. He could fly. The head spinning, what do you call that? Force field, I assume.
The force field, yeah.
The hand rockets, the feet rockets. So the whole mecha thing as a machine was just I was amazed by that. I thought that was really cool, And
Definitely, it was.
That's what probably really got me to watch more of these Godzilla movies as a kid, was seeing Mechagodzilla.
Perfect.
And so you said King Kong vs. Godzilla was your first film Is that your favorite too, or is there another film that's your favorite?
It's not my. I just can remember seeing it. Seemed to be on like every Thanksgiving when I was a kid. I think.
Yes,
Right.
it was, Frank. It's at a New York WOR holiday
Yeah,
special. It was King Kong Day on Thanksgiving
Yes.
Day, and Godzilla Day was on Friday. So, yes, it's so
Exactly.
nostalgic, especially this week, because
Right,
they ran
true.
it every single year, and sometimes that was the only time we got to see it is on
Right.
Thanksgiving because we didn't have VCRs, we didn't have,
Yeah,
unless
exactly.
like John and I, we used our tape recorders and
Yep.
recorded just the audio of it just so we could have it.
Yeah.
And that's what
Anyway,
made them
yes.
special too. It was
Yeah.
like
It totally
Yeah.
made them special because you never knew when you're
Yeah.
going to see them again. So
Right.
exactly. Like
Exactly.
Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. You know?
that's right.
You
Same
had one chance to see it.
one
Right.
chance, and if
Right.
you missed
You
it,
can't
you're
do it
out.
every
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
But is there a film that you go back to the most? Like, is there one that you like, for example, like mine, AJ, and David's, our favorite above anything else is Monsterverse vs. Godzilla. John, he kind of flip-flops between Shin Godzilla and another film we're going to talk about in a few minutes, Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 74. Kyle's favorite is Monster Zero / GMK. So what's the one film that you go back to more often than not? Like the one that really just that you love the most?
I gotta say Godzilla vs. Destroyer.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Loves Destroyer.
I think
one of the best
Destroyer was
ACs.
one of the coolest, newest, whatever, Kaiju to come out. And, the whole background of him being like, I mean, they promoted the movie as Godzilla Dies, so you were like, wow, what's this guy all about, and
The burning Godzilla suit is.
and
just,
then all the effects in the movie, the burning Godzilla,
Because that gigantic X Plus burning isn't mine. It's his. Because you know how much I love that one.
yeah.
Don't start that, AJ. For real. Don't you start that. So Papa Russo,
Yeah.
you have a love for Mecha. It's Mechagodzilla. I assume you love Mechanic Kong, Mecha King Ghidorah.
I do, yes.
How about Mogera? Where does he sit on your
Yeah.
list?
Yeah, Mogera's at the bottom of the list. He's at the bottom of the list.
Wow.
Even
The Mechanic Kong I loved
It's the
again.
original Mecha.
yeah.
I know.
57,
right? Yeah.
Too goofy.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome.
Oh.
But again, thank you,
You know,
Papa
it was
Russo.
like- As
Go ahead.
unbelievable as like you wanted to beat Godzilla, like you had to make a robot that looked like Godzilla, Or if you wanted to beat Kong, you had to build a robot that looked like Kong. But it was all great though, man.
But thank you again, Papa Russo, for being here. Again, your love for mechas, and besides the fact that you're an awesome dude, if I want to have you here. So thank you so much. John Ruffin, my brother, let's talk with you for a couple seconds. Now, myself, David, Kyle, pretty much the whole world knows that you have a love for Shin Godzilla, but we also know you have a love for 1974's Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla.
Yep.
In terms of Mechagodzilla as a character, at least that one in particular, what is it about Mechagodzilla that you love so much? Go for it.
It's all wrapped up in the childhood, They were, I think about the occasions that finally got to see the film, and we'll probably hopefully share some of our collectibles. But there was one thing in particular that I saw that kind of just flashed up on my screen, and I had never seen Mechagodzilla before, and it was in a magazine. And when it finally aired, I was sick at camp and had to come home a day early, and it was on that following Saturday morning, and it was just like. I mean, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. It was just, and I think that was like 70, maybe 78. I'm not sure what year it was. And I just, gosh, to see, let's say Nisa, Godzilla, the fake Godzilla, the imposter, that just freaked me out. And the design, and when he was revealed in the oil refinery, that's just epic. And there was another occasion, it was Halloween here in Philadelphia, and I think I was only 12. And my good friend Eric, my neighbor I grew up with, our parents took us downtown to see it at the Academy of Natural Sciences. They had Godzilla Monster Island, Godzilla versus Megalon, and Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, all three in a row. That was like, just to see it as a kid on the screen like that was nothing greater than Mechagodzilla. And only as an adult now, I'll kind of quote Apostle Paul: when I became a man, I put away childish things. Shin Godzilla, I needed that. That's a different monster. But Mechagodzilla is everything, that you wanted the Justice Godzilla to defeat, that ultimate battle. It just brought the show era to the pinnacle of what it should have been.
Absolutely.
Yep.
David, what about you? What are your thoughts of Mechagodzilla as a character from the Showa, from the Heisei, from Millennium? Do you think Mechagodzilla has gotten better over time as far as the movies in terms of design, or you think Showa is always the best?
Why you got to give me that question? you go right for that question. In true Leslie form. Let me start by saying I never want to hear you do a New York accent again. Okay. No. It's just like John. Mechagodzilla, the film, is very nostalgic. It brings me back to my childhood. I remember being on vacation in Pennsylvania, in Morrisville, Pennsylvania, at my aunt and uncle's house. And we went to the corner drugstore, and they had a famous Monsters of Filmland with the Basil Gagos cover, Godzilla versus the Bionic Monster. That one right there. And that's the first glimpse I saw of Mechagodzilla. I think it was like, 77, 78, whatever year that magazine came out. And then I saw it soon after on television, probably WOR, Channel 9. I definitely think Mechagodzilla has sort of gone downhill for me as a design. My favorite, I'm just going to do it in order of my favorite. 75, I think, is the perfect Godzilla. I love the one from Terror of Mechagodzilla. I think they refined the suit a little bit. It's a little bit more, it's dirtied up a little bit. It's a little bit more rough and tumble. 75, 74, Kiryu, and the Heisei, and then last, the other two can just be equal, not my favorites. So that's the way I feel about Mechagodzilla. And as John said, just to see, like, I've always loved Mechanicong as a monster. I do love Mogera. The movie's a little slow, and it's definitely a slow burn, and you have to really be in the mood to watch the Mysterians, the 1957 film, of course. But I remember one scene as a little kid. Things stick out in my memory. And I remember, I think it was Momoko Kochi, who was Emiko in the original Godzilla, was in a Japanese bath. And it was dark outside, and all of a sudden the lights flickered outside, and you see from her perspective in the little window this gigantic robot sort of walk by. And I remember thinking that was so terrifying, and just a real scary moment, and a really, a tribute to Tsuburaya and special effects. But yeah, I've always liked the mechanical element of the movies. I do like Mecha King Ghidorah too. I didn't really love the design of the Heisei Mechagodzilla. I like the film. I think the film is very good. It's a very good entry, but I don't like everything's sort of rounded. I like the angular, spiky, dangerous looking, vibe of the original Showa ones. And then Kiryu sort of did that as well. I really did respond to that design. I don't like all of the stuff on his back and everything. I like him when he's just the robot, just like the original 74. But yeah, it's a great movie. I have more and more respect for it as time goes on. I do prefer Terror of Mechagodzilla, although Godzilla 74 is a much better film. It's a much better film. I think the main reason being is that we get to hear Yves Kube again for the close of the 70s Showa era films, and I think that added an element to me to sort of push it over the top for me. And I do love Katsura, who's also a cyborg, and I love her, and I love that we got to meet Tomoko Ai at my very first G-Fest.
Yeah.
And she's lovely and beautiful and gracious. And if you can indulge me, I have one real quick story. I'll go really fast. It was my first G-Fest. I didn't know what to expect. I'm on the shuttle from the airport to Crown Plaza, and the bus was empty. And then all of a sudden, these people get on, and it's the Japanese guests getting on the same shuttle for me.
Awesome.
And I'm like,
Really?
oh my God. Yeah, really? You never heard this story? Oh, I know
No.
Kyle's heard it a million times. So I don't really know anybody at G-Fest except for like Rich Iso, and I did know Kyle at the time. But anyway, I'm on the shuttle and I'm like, oh my God, what am I gonna do? Should I be the dumb American like goofy Uber fan and say something, or should I just keep my mouth shut? And you guys know me too well. I chose the first option, and I went over to her and I said, welcome to the USA, blah blah, something stupid, and trying to be gracious. And then I asked her, which was a big mistake, may I take your photo? And she said, no. In pretty good English, she said, I just got off the plane. I don't look right. I promise we'll do one later on at the convention.
Awesome.
And I'm like, oh, sumimasen, gomenasai, whatever, the whole thing. So I get off the bus, feeling kind of stupid for like not just smiling and, hello, whatever. But flash forward to her panel discussion. We're all sitting in the audience. I'm sitting on the end, thankfully, and it's about to begin. And all of a sudden, she walks by, spots me, turns around, and says, "Okay, photo, okay now." I'm like, oh my gosh! I have that photo. I will post it.
That's awesome.
In the Facebook group. And she remembered, and I guess she wasn't too offended that I was, sort of pouncing on her when she just got off of the plane. She had a big smile on her face. She's holding my Bandai Mechagodzilla next to her, and she gave me a big smile. And
That's cool.
That, my friends, is what it's all about. So sorry I took so long, but I had to tell you that
Great
story.
story.
That was great.
It's all good.
Anyhow, back to you, Leslie.
Kyle, you're in the hot
Yes,
seat,
sir.
my friend. Now, of course, we all know Kyle from the best podcast dedicated to Godzilla and all his rubber-suited foes. Man, I love saying that. Oh, I love saying that. The Kaiju Cast. And I recommend please go back and watch, or at least listen to the past episodes. Even though Kyle has moved on to collect all monsters, those episodes of Kaiju Cast are still awesome.
Thank you, man.
They're worth your time. Trust me on that. But if you know anything about the Kaiju Cast and Kyle as a person, he does favor the Millennium Mechagodzilla to a certain degree. I know you love the 70s, but I've heard you talk about the Millennium Mechagodzilla, at least the films, with glowing praise, and which is something that I personally don't see a lot nowadays. A lot of people don't really talk glowingly about the Millennium series, maybe outside of GMK, maybe. They talk about Final Wars being a train wreck. They don't really talk about Mechagodzilla that much. Right. But outside of that, I know that you have talked glowingly and high praise of the Millennium Mechagodzilla film. So what is it about those films that you just enjoy so much, or Kiryu as a design? What do you love about that version of Mechagodzilla?
Well, I would say that just from a design perspective alone, Kiryu, which I did not bring over here, Kiryu has that sort of like appropriate modernization to the design, right? You're
well said. In
1974 when Mechagodzilla came out, and I'm going to do some history stuff too here, if you don't mind, Leslie.
Please.
But, when that movie came out, robots were robots. They were robots back then. In the 60s and 70s, it was not like crazy AI ideas behind robots. And then you get into the 90s and you see the Mechagodzilla from there, who's all like shiny and in a sense, I really kind of think that the Mechagodzilla from 93 is also like the perfect modernization for 1993 of that character, even though we sort of look back on that now and go, wow, that's kind of boring overall. Like, it doesn't really have a lot of cool, especially design wise, doesn't have cool lines, doesn't have a impressive silhouette. Anyway, moving forward, then when they brought it back, I think that they just did the best thing that they could for people who had become new fans and were like, say, anime fans as well. Like, there's a lot of stuff in those movies to appeal to a lot of different types of fans. And in terms of making something that would be like, how the hell are you going to make an actual like 100-meter tall robot work, the fact that they had like this crazy exoskeleton armor on top of a inner suit really appealed to me as well. And those accessories, dude, I kind of love those accessories. The backpack that Kiryu has is like so cool, and I loved the way that they modernized his deployment as well. You know, it's not just taking off from a base. He gets carried to the battle area, the battle arena, and gets dropped from the air, and he has to have the backpack. There's so much cool stuff that they put in there, and not to mention the director of those two films did Mechagodzilla, and then he leveled up and did X Mechagodzilla, and was given the reins to do the follow-up, Tokyo SOS. So for me, the director did such a great job of really trying his best to do like a serious attempt at Showa era feel with modern sensibilities, I think. So that's why I speak highly of those films. But really, the design of the original Showa era Mechagodzilla is probably the one I love the most, just because he's never looked, well, he's a bad guy, you know, like he looks amazing in those films from a robot perspective, you know. Anyway, there you go.
Well said. Well said.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, for me personally, thank you, Papa Russo, AJ, Kyle, John, David. For me, I love Mechagodzilla. He's like maybe number 2 behind King Ghidorah as far as like my favorite villains. There's another thing. I prefer Mechagodzilla as a villain, even though we do see him as the hero or anti-hero, kind of a tweener. I prefer him kind of like Godzilla. I prefer him as the straight up badass villain. And what I appreciate most about Mechagodzilla, besides the designs, I love pretty much all the Mechagodzilla designs except for the anime, and we'll talk about that later. But the one thing I appreciate about Mechagodzilla, which is something, because I'm a King Ghidorah fan, right? Like I said, he's my favorite villain. King Ghidorah is. But the one thing I can say about Mechagodzilla that I can't say about King Ghidorah, unfortunately, is like every version of Mechagodzilla, maybe with the exception of the anime, really has done some drastic damage to Godzilla himself.
Yeah, big time.
Whether it's making him bleed in 74, set him on fire in 75, crippling him and almost killing him in 93, you know, making that big gash in his chest in the Kiryu films. And just mopping the floor with them in 2021. Mechagodzilla has really taken it to Godzilla on multiple occasions, not just one isolated incident. You know, that's one thing I can't say about King Ghidorah. Of course, King Ghidorah is regarded as Godzilla's arguably his most popular foe, but I think his most devastating foe on a consistent basis is Mechagodzilla. You know what I'm saying? A case can be made for Hedra, sure, but on like a continuous basis, like every single version of Mechagodzilla, with the exception of the anime, like I said, really just brought it to Godzilla, and I actually appreciate that. You know what I mean?
That's the truth. That is true.
Before we go into like these questions, I got like 20 questions. They are designed for rapid fire, but I think we could take a little bit of time with this. But let's do a little rapid fire word association. And like I said, how we're going to do it, we're going to do it in this order: Papa Russo, AJ, David, John, Kyle, and then myself. So let's go with some rapid fire word association. Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Of course, people in the
Fire
chat,
away.
if you hear it, you're more than welcome to pipe in your answers too in the chat. Word association, the first word that comes to your mind when I say this. All right, Papa Russo, we'll start with you. Mechagodzilla 74.
Cool.
The GOAT.
Yeah.
I'm gonna one up you every time.
John, what about it?
Evil.
David?
Space titanium.
Kyle?
Yabai. I'm going to use a Japanese word that means badass or dangerous.
For me, best version. Performance-wise. Okay, the next one. 75 Mechagodzilla.
Titanosaurus.
I was gonna say a dinosaur. A dinosaur.
Go for it, John.
Oh, I was super Geiger counter.
Katsura.
I was gonna say same, but I think level up is better.
Cosmetically, that's my favorite look of Mechagodzilla
Me
of
too.
all time.
Me too. Me
All right, here we go. The 93 Mechagodzilla.
I'm a fan of that suit, definitely. I like how he's muscular. He looks strong.
Super Mechagodzilla.
John?
Human design.
Effective. He was very
Kyle?
effective.
I'm trying to remember the English language quote, but I'm just gonna say plasma cannon.
I'm going to give a huge shout out to John Bumpus, because I've heard him say this a couple of times on Facebook. He referred to as Mecha Big Bird. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
G-force, dude. That's what I should have said.
All right, the next one. It doesn't matter which one, but Kiryu. I'm sorry, Papa Russo.
No. He's a tough. Godzilla skeleton.
Eh.
That's it?
That's all I got. That's all I got for Kiryu.
That's some word association right there.
John.
That was the second film I saw in Japan, second Godzilla movie. Kill it. I don't like it.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh. Well, I'm gonna go opposite of that. Perfect modern interpretation.
Kyle.
Origin. I just loved how they brought the Godzilla bones into the origin of Kiryu.
The first word that comes to mind for me for Kiryu is sleek. I like his sleek design.
Yep.
All right. The Monsterverse Mechagodzilla.
David, is that your doorbell?
Oh man.
What? I can't hear you guys.
I liked it.
What? Hello?
Powerful.
Terminator.
Oh, there you go. That's a good.
Give me
John.
Ready Player One.
Ooh. Why not both? Why
Should
not
I be
Zoidberg?
serious? Should I be honest or no?
Yeah, man.
Brutally honest. Go for it. What's
Yeah,
the one
go
word
for
that comes to your mind?
Well, I got two. Busted Dinobot.
Kyle, go for it.
No thanks.
Oh.
I mean,
Oh my God.
I mean,
Don't worry,
David
I'm
took
here
the
to-
Transformers reference, so
I did. Sorry. I mean, so did they. Really.
And I was soulless. Has no
Ooh,
personality.
ouch.
Soulless. It's literally has
Soulless.
King Ghidorah's soul in it. What are you talking about?
Undeveloped character. Undeveloped in concept.
That's very fair.
That's what I mean. It's like great potential. And the art of Godzilla versus Kong, they left some really good concepts on the floor.
The entire finale. I know that's not a legendary conversation, but the entire finale got completely changed because they just made the super cut version. Yeah. Like, how much action can we slam into this? Just go straight to it.
Yeah.
Point A to point B.
I enjoyed that whole scene.
Oh,
that
yeah.
whole fight scene was great.
It was beautiful, but like, give it some rhyme and reason, like character development. And the original Mechagodzilla has personality. I mean, and is based on like the Japanese. I mean, there's soul in it. It's just not tied to anything that makes me care.
If we're still on the top, my favorite thing about it in general and why it's become my second favorite Mechagodzilla is I've been waiting for them to make Mechagodzilla a bad guy. I hate the whole, we created a Mechagodzilla and all the governments came together and were like, yeah, you can make this. So I was just happy that they, in a way, made him, when King Ghidorah takes over, in a way made him an alien again. That was like my favorite draw to him. And he looks very much like a Terminator endoskeleton, which is one of my favorite. I'm done hijacking it and ruining this for David. I'm sorry, David.
I was going to
You're
chime
fine.
in
You're
on
fine.
93.
No.
I love 90. David.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, I love the original because it even came with its own new metal on the periodic table of elements, space titanium. I mean, shouldn't they have maybe used some of that maybe in the legendary? I mean, so many missed opportunities for that design and that concept.
That's sort of the theme of the legendary films for you, is missed opportunities.
Yeah, that if I had to come up with 2 words for the legendary, missed opportunity, absolutely 100%. Undeveloped and missed opportunity. Action packed, yes. Beautiful, yes. But those other 2 things, absolutely. But anyway, space titanium. I just love that they created an element, Toho pseudoscience, you know, and they revolved the whole story around that. His pipe, you know, I know John loves that damn pipe, you know, just so the origin is just so much more compelling to me than anything that's come afterwards. That's another reason that aside from the design and that he does have a personality. And he has all those cool things like Frank mentioned in the beginning, the fingers and the force field, and that he can fly. I just love that he is just we've never seen anything like it before. So that's it.
For me, I have to be honest here. When I think of the Monsterverse Mechagodzilla, even though my boy lost, when I saw Mechagodzilla kick the crap out of Godzilla, I was so happy. This was like me smiling, like from I know Kong was on life support at that point, but seeing Godzilla get his butt handed to him, unlike we have ever seen before. Godzilla did not get one lick in. He couldn't get a punch, a kick, or nothing. And I'm sitting there like, I know my boy lost. I'm like, this is like a great consolation prize. I was so happy. I was so happy to see that. You know what I'm saying? Even though that version of Mechagodzilla kind of gets Destroy All Monsters, King Ghidorah shoehorned in at the very last minute. I don't really particularly care for the design, quite frankly, but his performance, killer. All right, 2 more for the rapid fire thing, right fast. Papa Russo, I'm sorry. Let me just say this right now. I'm sorry. Mechagodzilla City.
Oh man.
I'm sorry.
Didn't see it.
AJ.
You're first.
I didn't see it.
Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
Good.
There's everything.
Good. That's it. Don't see it. That's all.
Hard to find
Don't see it.
Marvel.
Mecha, I can't even think of a word because that is the worst thing ever. I've never been so mad at something Godzilla related before. Usually I can digest it all and take away some kind of positive. Mechagodzilla City, awful.
And there's that missed opportunity again.
Yeah, there's a missed opportunity.
Like they not only missed it, they like didn't even like come into their conscience. It's
I know.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is like they actually like promoed that Mechagodzilla was in it.
Yes.
And they made a toy and a poster, and you were like, so where is it? Where is it?
And the
it
directors are
died.
like, you know what would be even better is if we don't include this awesome robot that we built and turn it into a stupid city, right? That never does jack crap. Yeah,
Like, it was so bad. I've still never even watched the third Godzilla.
Me neither.
I never.
I haven't either.
After that, I was like, you know what? I'm not watching this. I
I gave up.
Well, he doesn't come back in the third one.
Oh wow, shocked.
Shocking, right?
Shocker.
John, what about you? Mechagodzilla City.
What were they thinking?
Look at John. He looks so defeated right now.
Because it was. I mean, I was stoked, and like, what the heck? I mean, what? How does that get approved? I don't mean to dump on the whole anime series, but like, come on, of all the things that can be done, that's it.
Especially in anime form. Like,
How
you
does
could have
that-
seen
how does that get
Where they
True.
can do anything.
Yeah.
Exactly, AJ.
I
With anime,
was
they can do
expecting-
anything.
Yeah, I was expecting like what they really wanted to do with Kiryu, like finally imagined, and instead it was like, here's a city. It's a little cityscape. It points missiles at
The
him.
coolest classic enemy, and
Yep.
they
blew
did nothing.
Trash can.
Yep, next, David. Mechagodzilla
Okay.
City.
I vacillate between two possible answers, and I'm just going to give you them both. Number one, WTF, and number two, stupid as the day is long. There you go.
Yeah.
Kyle, what about you? Mechagodzilla City.
Mechagodzilla City is pass. That just didn't do it for me at all. So,
For me, and full disclaimer, I have never seen the anime trilogy, but I heard about it. But when I did hear about it, it was like, Mechagodzilla was kind of converted to a city. I was like, wow, so does he like control the city that like bombards Godzilla? So does Godzilla have to fight the city before he gets to him? And they were like, no, that's not how it was. So basically my response...
He's a vacation spot.
My response is, so I was like, so Mechagodzilla is a location. He's not a cyborg. So
Wow.
my response to this
can you
question,
share your Google location of Mechagodzilla City with me, please?
so my
Uber,
response to
I'm
that
here
is,
for your Uber.
so my response to that is like, I'm not in a rush to see the anime trilogy, and that's it with that.
That's a shame.
But you know what? That's kind of like, cause I know we kind of been, we're on the negative with the Mechagodzilla City. So this is the last one for the rapid fire, at least for this round, just for a little bit. And I think AJ will appreciate this. Word association, the first word that comes to your mind. The last shot in Singular Point. If you've seen it.
Watched it together.
The last shot?
The final
Mechagodzilla
episode
at the end of
post credit
Singular Point.
scene.
I don't remember.
Oh my! I literally watched it with him in this seat. We watched it together and had a whole conversation about it.
I think
this is answer
Frank's
then. This is
word
answer.
should be forgetful.
Apparently forgetful. Yes. I cannot give me a toy of that immediately.
Yes.
If you haven't seen Singular Point, spoilers. That's stay after for the after, which is awesome too. Because I don't know if you've all the Easter eggs in Singular Point. Like if you're a Toho universe fan, like I know anime might not be for everybody, and it is loaded with a ton of. You want pseudoscience? Woo! It's all in there. But like the Easter eggs in that show. So if you actually pay attention to the people that are like around Mechagodzilla, they're the Mysterians, and it's just amazing. Amazing is my word associate.
Wow.
I love Singular Point. In my opinion, is the best thing Toho has done, excluding Shin Godzilla in like 20 years.
Oh, yeah.
Excluding, I'm not attacking you, John.
John's on the defensive from the
Yeah, John's like, what did you say?
I just want it season 2. Bring it on.
Yes.
We're gonna get more. Just take what's in the closing credits, of the anime of Singular Point, and just give me all that.
Did they say anything about a second season, if that's going to happen during the Godzilla Day stuff? I didn't hear anybody talk about that interview at all.
Yeah.
I don't
I
think
was
it's going to
hoping
happen.
we got an announcement, but you really don't think it's going to happen?
I don't think it's going to happen because when you think about how long the development cycle was for Singular Point, it was like 5 years. Like, I don't know how much time they would need to develop a second season for that, but I wouldn't really want to wait 5 years for... Actually, I totally would wait 5 years for a Singular Point if it was done as well as the first season, because it was really well done.
Right. It might end up... I wouldn't imagine... I would imagine seeing a manga for it.
Oh, that would probably come out first.
That could happen. I mean, that would be cool to see that all play out in manga form. I definitely will buy it.
David, the last shot in Singular Point. Have you seen Singular Point yet?
Gomen Nasai Sumimasen. I have not seen it.
Wow.
So something's got to get moved to the top of my queue in my Netflix. So I will definitely watch it, and I trust you guys, and I really need to see it because I'm hearing a lot of good things from people that that like the same kind of things that I like. So we'll watch it, and we'll ask me on the next show, and I will respond to that. But
can I give a piece of advice to anybody who has not seen Godzilla Singular Point yet?
Please.
So, Godzilla Singular Point, as we've talked about on the Kaiju Cast, is filled with pseudoscience and real science, and the line between those is so blurry that it can get very confusing. So, if you have not seen Godzilla Singular Point and you are not a nuclear physicist or theoretical physics major, then I would basically say, let all the pseudoscience just wash over you and just smile and nod and go, okay, that's cool. You really won't need to like focus on it mentally and try and figure out why X, Y, Z is happening. It all sort of unfolds at the end. AJ, you do agree with that, right? Like at the end of the series, you sort of get everything unfolded into you're like, oh, that's what's going on. Okay.
Yeah. Again, for me, I absolutely like Singular Point, like is like top tier for me. I was immersed into all of that. And if David, you've never seen it, right? Like you don't even know what it looks like.
No, I watched a couple of episodes, and exactly what happened.
Damn.
Kyle's scenario is exactly what I'm doing. I'm trying to process every little thing that's happening, and it's hurting my brain. And I love the fact of what you just said, that it sort of all sort of comes together and makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah,
at the
it
end.
So
I
definitely. Come
don't
together
dislike it. I don't dislike it.
It just takes a while. I highly recommend the dub because even in the subtitle version, especially with the AI,
So much to see, so much.
Even the subtitle version cannot catch up with what they're talking about because like there's like they do a lot of stuff with like through texting, and they're like going back and forth, and you're just like, I can't even read this fast enough.
That's right.
So like
the
dub,
exactly right.
The dub actually helps because it was a show that I found where like you can't look at your phone for a second because if you did, you're lost.
You missed something. Yeah.
You were like, what?
No,
So at least with the dub, you're like, oh, I can at least hear this and you know, be like, what would you say?
Great advice. Great advice. And
For sure.
I will
I
definitely
totally
do
agree.
that. And maybe over
gotta
this
watch it
Thanksgiving
again.
holiday,
Clearly.
I will watch the whole thing because it's not for lack of it's not because I didn't like it and respond to it. It's just what Kyle said. It's just like it's hurting my brain. I'm like, what is going on? I don't understand any of this. It's just
Secondary
like,
piece of advice would be to just keep an eye out for the Easter eggs.
Absolutely.
Right?
Oh
Because there
my
are
God.
so many things to see.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's not only visual Easter eggs, there's audio Easter eggs. Like I'm hearing things,
Yes.
and I'm like, oh,
Oh
wait a
my
minute,
God.
that's this, that's that. So
So
that
much
I
going on.
love, but I haven't even seen Godzilla yet. Godzilla hasn't even shown up yet.
The soundtrack
I mean, I'm only-
to Singular
you know.
Point is absolutely
Yeah, it's cool.
phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
Cool.
I
Well,
have a
Great
spoiler thing that I wanted to ask you about, but I don't know if I should bring it up because I don't want to.
you can, you totally can. I mean, I know basically what goes on.
So you know the intro that they changed after the first episode, and everyone considered it fan service, where it just shows it has the outro. I mean, where it has every character.
Oh, yeah.
I have this theory that isn't fan service, and that's actually showing all the different Singular Points, and they're going to eventually collide. That's how I have taken it.
I can see
And
that.
like, so give me a universe where Jet Jaguar and Kiryu are fighting together because I need to see that. Because I always took that as her like just kind of going through all the Singular Points and like exploring them and like
Interesting.
an awesome outro sequence. But again, that's complete. I have complete theory. No idea.
I like it.
It's a lot of it has a
For it.
strong religious undertone.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
There's also that whole, because it's backwards, like it's clearly some sort of like dream state when she's in the coffee shop, right?
I think you don't know. You have no idea.
I don't know.
Right.
It's all theories, man.
Yeah, the show, and that's what I love about the show is it
Yeah.
doesn't spoon feed you anything. They're
Yeah.
like, go back and watch it because you might have missed something.
That's the truth.
Oh yeah, great on the second rewatch, by the way.
Yes,
Mhm.
I've watched it 4 times.
Oh wow.
I love it. I love it.
Wow.
Kyle, the last shot in Singular Point.
Last shot in Singular Point. Bring it on. Like I loved it. How about
For
that?
me,
Is that good?
yeah, that's
Yeah,
good.
Leslie, what about you?
For me, now, full disclaimer, I'm like David. I try to watch the first episode. I got 15 minutes in, and I felt dumber. I felt so dumb. I'm like, because at first, before I watched the show, I'm like, I think I'm a pretty intelligent guy. I think I have a grasp on certain things. But when I watched 15 minutes of that, I was like, I felt like Bobby Boucher from The Water Boy. I felt like just going on my lawnmower and just driving traffic. I felt so dumb. But
You're using a whole bunch of big words. I don't understand. Yeah.
Singular Point is
yeah.
the devil.
AJ. But I did see.
man.
But I heard the rumblings about the last shot in Singular Point, and I was like, let me just check it out. And what I saw, I was like, yeah, I think I will give this this series a try, which is more than what I can say about the first anime trilogy from Polygon.
Oh,
You know,
no doubt,
Yeah.
absolutely.
so
And if I could say
All right.
one last thing, Jet Jaguar fans rejoice because
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Jet Jaguar
Yeah.
is absolutely the star of that show.
Yeah.
right.
100%.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's the first question. We can kind of like not go too far in depth into it, but you know, we just give our little take on it. And this is pertaining to Mechagodzilla. But in your opinion, which female human character Mechagodzilla relationship dynamic do you prefer? Katsura from 75 or Akane from 2002? Papa Russo, go for it.
I'd say for the 2002.
Katsura.
Katsura.
Definitely Katsura.
Kyle, what about you?
Katsura, but why didn't you include Miki Sagusa and her relationship with Mechagodzilla? I guess they didn't really have that much of a relationship, but I
Yeah,
would
they
say
really
about
didn't.
Katsura. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't include Mickey because, you know, she's only included like at the very, very, very last minute. I'm talking about something
Yeah.
that, you know, that's kind of substantial between Akane and Katsura.
Definitely Katsura.
Because both of them, yeah, well, you know what? Well, they did control Mechagodzilla, and so did Miki Sagusa to a certain extent. But I think between Akane and Katsura had more of a deeper connection with Mechagodzilla, so that's why that's why I omitted that. So you said Katsura, right?
I said Katsura, yes.
You know what? That surprised me because I thought you was going to say Akane. Kind of like I said, I know you love the you know, Millennium Mechagodzilla films.
Let me tell you, my friend, where the director Masaki Tezuka fails, unfortunately, and he fails in his films with solidifying a human connection to the audience. For me, like if I'm watching a movie and I don't care about the characters, then the director has failed in one way. And unfortunately, as much as I love those movies, Tezuka did not make me care enough for the characters to really feel their connections to each other and even Akane to Mechagodzilla.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
I can see
Yes,
that.
it does make sense. For me, because I love Showa so much, I love the Katsura dynamic. Even though I do, you kind of really ride more so with Akane and her story of redemption and wanted to prove herself. You know what I'm saying? Which is a great story. I think all of us can relate to that to a certain extent. But between the two, I prefer Katsura. Next question. And this one does not have to be rapid fire. We can kind of like explain a little bit more with this question. But in your opinion, which director did right by his Mechagodzilla film? Fukuda in 74 or Honda in 75? Papa Russo, go for it. Yeah, these questions get harder, buddy. So yeah.
That is tough. I couldn't pick between the two. I'll just go with 74. That's a hard one.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna go with 74, specifically because the groundwork was laid
That's right.
by that director. Like he created the character essentially from a cinematic standpoint, and then it was carried on from there. Plus, I will take the score of 74 over 75.
Okay.
That's a tough question.
That is a tough question. I
You
felt
guys are
like
smart.
What?
I'm gonna go build a go-kart or something.
I'm going to go with Fukuda. Don't get me wrong, Mechagodzilla 75 is kind of lifeless, and it's he's a shell of himself in a sense, that's filled with more Katsura and the aliens at time, and it's a part. That's a part of it. I think that's a part of the genius of 75. Just at times where he's just a robot. He's just sitting. Titanosaurus is moving on, but he's just waiting for his next command. But I felt like 74, that was so uniquely done in a way that anything after is 75 is genius. But I mean, it's just something about Mechagodzilla, that first appearance, the life in him, even though he's getting commands from the headquarters, it's something personal, more personal, something more ferocious about his nature. And like the shadows cast under the brow, over the eyes, it's something much more evil about him. David?
That's a really tough question, and like you guys, it can go either way for me. But I'm gonna go with Honda, just because although I do think the 74 is a better film overall, there are elements of the 75 that really make it sort of super memorable for me personally. The inclusion of Akira Ifukube back as the person who scores the film, some of those themes, and I love that, every time you hear the music cue, you know who's on screen. Like Titanosaurus has his own theme, Mechagodzilla, Katsura. It's magic to me when I hear that Akira Ifukube music, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I think the suit is more refined. It's a little, like I said before, it's a little bit more dirty. It looks more realistic to me. It moves a little bit better than it did in the first one. I love personally the connection between Katsura and Mechagodzilla, that she's now part of Mechagodzilla. I mean, their connection, the brain cells. I mean, that's how, it goes into action essentially. And the fact that she, has that character arc, several times during the film, like, is she good? Is she bad? Which way is she going to turn? She ultimately makes the ultimate sacrifice, and she, helps defeat the aliens that rebuilt her. And I love some of the very interesting camera angles that Honda decided to use for this particular movie, from like, the up shots where you see Titanosaurus, like from like as if you're a human, looking up. And I love some of the battle scenes that, the camera movements are just so more refined and more thought out than they were in the original. But again, that having said all that, the original is fantastic. I do love that score too, that jazzy sort of fast-paced
I
score.
love it.
But bottom line, when it comes to Godzilla music, Akira Ifukube is the one that is the icing on the cake for me every single time. I just think that film, it could have been better. Like the fact that, why are they looking not in Okinawa for the pieces of the, destroyed, Mechagodzilla? There's some inconsistencies and some strangeness going on there. And, where do the aliens come from? Why did they just appear when Katsura, has her accident? It's like, there's a lot of things that are like, what is going on here? The first film doesn't have those continuity, issues, so to speak, but they're both fantastic. And
They are.
I just think that for the reasons I mentioned, the 75 just is a little tiny bit, it pushes it over the edge for me as a more enjoyable film.
What about you, Kyle? Who did better by their
Definitely
Mechagodzilla film?
Jun Fukuda. Jun Fukuda. Like, so I, as a Godzilla fan, of course, I absolutely love Honda. I love the fact that they brought back Honda Tsuburaya.
Yes.
Well, not Tsuburaya. Honda.
Yep.
Ifukube. Anyway, the big guys were back for the 75 film.
Yes.
But Leslie, as you know, my reaction to that is like, but they put that together, like, that's not cause for celebration, in my opinion. Like, if they had put together something as poignant as the first film or anything in the early 60s, I would say, yes, there's the example you're looking for bringing the big names back to the Godzilla franchise. But I found the 75 movie dark, somewhat unpalatable, definitely not fun. And accidentally said Tsuburaya earlier, and I want to explain why, not why I made the mistake, but explain why I definitely know for a fact that Tsuburaya did not do the effects on this movie, and that's because in the '75 film, I thought the effects kind of sucked. Like the ideas, the actual battle scenes, great, but Titanosaurus being like 5,000 feet tall in front of like that shot of people running away from the city. This just like, did you forget everything that you learned from the past 20 years of making Godzilla movies? Because that's what it seems like for the 75.
Yeah, some
film.
of the composition shots.
Sorry to be so harsh about it.
Yeah,
but-
that's not what I was talking about. Just for the record, those shots were not what I was referring to.
No, I just
know
mean,
what I'm
like,
talking
for
about.
me, I do, and I know that a lot of people absolutely love Terror of Mechagodzilla, and I'm not saying that I hate Terror of Mechagodzilla, but when you're like, I definitely prefer Fukuda's entry over the Honda Mechagodzilla film, and for me, it's just, as many people know, I love fun Godzilla movies, and man, oh man, that first Mechagodzilla movie is so fun that when we covered Terror of Mechagodzilla for the first time on the Kaiju Cast, I made my co-hosts come and do a double feature, so they had to watch Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla first before I showed them Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Awesome.
Right.
I'm done.
Oh, so much more to say.
Back to you, Leslie.
For me, I and I love them both. But as y'all know, I love Terror Mechagodzilla. But y'all also know that it is not in my top 10, but it's right outside of it. And the reason why it's not in my top 10 is because I felt that Mechagodzilla was utilized better in '74. So to answer this question, I'm going with Fukuda. Because in Terror Mechagodzilla, there are just moments where Mechagodzilla just stands there, does absolutely nothing. Now, and I get it because
just standing there.
Like Katsuran.
Yeah, because Godzilla, he doesn't have backup, so I get why he was, dormant through a good portion of that fight. Because on paper, if Mechagodzilla was the killer as he was in '74, if he attacked at the same time as Titanosaurus, I'm sorry to say it, Godzilla would not have won. I'm sorry. I mean, if there was a time where Godzilla should have lost, in my opinion, it should have been Terror. But there are just times where he just stands there and just not really
himself.
Only when Titanosaurus is in trouble does Mechagodzilla like really just steps in. But if the idea was to destroy Godzilla and take over the world, they should attack in unison. And the story doesn't end in Terror Mechagodzilla with the destruction of Mechagodzilla. He gets destroyed first, and the story ends when Titanosaurus gets defeated. And I didn't think that was cool. But like I said, that's the reason why Terror Mechagodzilla, even though I love the film so much, sits outside of my top 10. But Godzilla's Mechagodzilla '74 is in my top 10, is my top 5. So to answer this question, I'm going with Fukuda, even though I do enjoy Honda's take. I do love the darker take of Terror Mechagodzilla, but between the two, I will go with '74 first. All right, next question. Oh, I like this question. All right. What we're kind of shifting away from Mechagodzilla, but they were in the Mechagodzilla film. In your opinion, what third-party monster that made an appearance in a Mechagodzilla film or Mechagodzilla had contact with is your favorite? King Caesar from '74, Titanosaurus from '75, Rodan from '93, Monster from 2003, or King Kong from 2021? Papa Russo, go.
Oof. I gotta go with King Kong.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Oh wow,
my man! I love
that.
you, Papa Russo. I love you so much right now.
I was 100% about to pick Titanosaurus until you added Kong into that.
Man.
I gotta go with Kong then. That's the best we've ever seen Kong ever.
I love you. I love you both. I love you so much.
But if the legendary verse is cut off and out, Titanosaurus.
Johnny.
King Caesar. That film is important in a lot of ways, especially with the connection with Okinawa, and just those 70 films have a lot of historical context that they need to be seen against too, and even 75. And you think about all the great films that came out of the 70s, and you think of the Planet of the Apes. This is a lot. It could be a lot read into them. And with so I'm going with King Caesar because of his significance. Titanosaurus is cool, but as a defender of the Okinawa, I get that. I like that. I think that's special and important.
David,
Yeah,
what about you?
I'm going to switch gears and actually agree with John and go for King Caesar because I am a huge fan of yokai and Japan folklore. And I've said this before on Collect All Monsters. Whoops, as I knock over the imposter. King Caesar is probably the only kaiju monster that is sort of based on an actual Japanese creature mythology.
Yeah.
And because, like as John said, there's a lot of Okinawa history with the Shisa guardians, and it's essentially almost like a vacation ad for visiting Okinawa because you see,
Really.
I wanted to go after I saw that movie. You know, it shows different parts of it and the culture. You know, and the fact that he is a real, straight up mythological creature from Japanese history and folklore, and the more specifically the folklore of Okinawa, I have to go with King Caesar, and I just think he's great. I do not like King Caesar in Final Wars. I think that was just
Oh God.
Epic
ready
fail.
for it. Missed opportunity,
Yeah.
as was the
Yeah.
but no, I would love to see in the future King Caesar show up in some,
Yes.
somewhere.
In the
Singular
Monsterverse,
point.
right, David?
Singular point.
Maybe he'll be in the next Singular Point if they're wanting
Well,
to
I
go in
mean,
that direction.
he's in that intro or outro.
Oh,
So
well, perfect.
there's
Well,
a good
now,
chance.
now I gotta watch that damn thing tonight. Now,
Yeah,
I
you
gotta-
do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go and watch it. And no, I just think that most of my favorite Japanese films, not necessarily tokusatsu or kaiju films, even when Miyazaki does films, the ones that are the most successful and impactful for me are the ones where he draws from his own from Japanese culture. And they just so much more heart to them, as John mentioned before, and they have such a stake in creating these creatures because they are part of their everyday culture, and I just love that. So King Caesar.
How about you, Kyle?
Definitely King Caesar. I've always been fascinated with ever since I saw King Caesar, I've always been fascinated with the monster, and it's really, I mean, a mammalian kind of kaiju is really unique in the pantheon of kaiju stuff. So I don't know. I just really have always been drawn to that monster.
For me, even though I'm a huge Kong fan, but the Monsterverse Kong is not my favorite version of Kong, even though I do love him. So in this instance, I'm going with Titanosaurus. I love that monster, even though his roar sounds like a bag of kittens being dragged by a pickup truck. But
You got to do it. You got to do it, Leslie. Let's hear it.
That's pretty good. That's pretty
Thank you
good.
very much. I do Gapper too, but I ain't trying to kill y'all during the stream. The next 3 or 4 questions, let's just do rapid fire with these, and then we'll go into the next question after that and kind of go more into depth. Rapid fire. Okay, Papa Russo, you're up first. What is your favorite Mechagodzilla incarnation? What year?
Let's go 93.
Ooh.
I'll be different.
I am actually shocked by that. I thought.
No,
I thought-
I love show. I know.
I was gonna say I thought it was gonna be this beautiful boy. That I thought I displayed him correctly, but apparently I needed to put Super Mechagodzilla.
Oh, you mean
there.
toy wise?
No, just in general. But I assumed it would be him. I'm going with here you go. Here he is.
74. Johnny.
74 will always be my champ. Yeah, 74.
As I
David.
mentioned earlier, it's got to be 75. I think they streamlined him just a little bit, dirtied him up, made him look a little bit more rough and tumble. 75.
He was off the seafloor. It's trash.
That's right. That space titanium don't hold up, man.
No, I would go with the 74 as well.
Let's see. For me, it's I'll go with look wise. I'm going with 75. Okay, what is your favorite Mechagodzilla movie, Papa Russo?
'74.
Oh man,
That's my favorite.
that's a 93.
Oh, wow. Okay, because I want to say 74 definitely, but I love 93 because it echoed and paralleled 74 in ways when Godzilla's life is on the line, G-Crusher thing. It's something about that moment,
And the score in that movie, for me,
Yeah.
that's my
Yeah.
personal
Sure.
favorite Hesai movie. Like I love that movie.
Say.
I love that.
And then, like-
everything about it.
And
Godzilla
who didn't want baby Godzilla as their own pet? Like, come on. I was like, I need that.
There's a lot of good from that movie, to be perfectly
Yeah.
honest. Yeah.
It's other than 84 and 89 and 91, 93 is my favorite, of the Heisei, of that era, period. I mean, it's something intense about it and mature about it.
He straight up kills Godzilla. Like, Godzilla dies. If Rodan doesn't, whatever he does, it's rest in peace.
It's something deep about that.
How about you, David?
I think my favorite, even though I really talked up 75 as a film, a total film experience, I got to go with the original 1974 Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla. And I do agree, Godzilla 93 is one of the best Heisei. I think 89, 91, 93, and well, I'm going for, never mind, just forget it.
94, 95, 96.
No.
Right behind 84, 89, 91,
We
92.
really don't care about.
All right now. Hey now. The score of the 93 film really makes it for me. And if Mechagodzilla looked a little different, I think it would be like probably my favorite of the whole series. I don't like the way Rodan looks though either. Rodan's kind of like, too small, weird.
Yeah, I wish
whatever.
Rodan was bigger.
But Baby Godzilla all the way, man. And the score and the story all the way. Okay, sorry, Kyle.
And that American Scientist.
For the record, that 93 movie I've seen so many times because that was Tiger's favorite Godzilla movie for years.
Wow.
And so it would literally be like, hey, we have to hang out here tonight while your mom goes and works. Boom, Mechagodzilla's on.
Awesome.
But honestly, like out of all of the Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla movies, the 74 is my favorite of them all.
For me, I feel the same way. 74 is my favorite. Next question, rapid fire question. What is your favorite incarnation of Godzilla that fought Mechagodzilla?
It's a good one.
That's a really good one.
I'm sorry. I really am. Sorry, not sorry. Papa Russo.
Well, not that he actually fought Godzilla, but the disguised Godzilla.
Yeah.
I just want to give him some.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yes.
The imposter head.
Imposter. Yeah.
I always
Wow.
that was always my.
I gotta get one of those guys. It's not right.
Hold on.
That fooled me.
Yes,
I'll
you
blow
do.
you
Me
up.
in the beginning.
Go ahead, Kyle. Hold on. Hold it up again.
Look at this beautiful boy.
It's awesome.
David, you too.
Oh man, the
We need more
Yeah,
fake ass Godzillas. That's what we need.
That's my favorite one right there. The one that David has. Yeah.
Yeah.
That one.
Oh
great.
man, it's
The
awesome.
that set was cool.
Yeah, it was
I was
Bandai
that
Premium
fucking good.
nailed that set. Yep.
Your favorite version, John?
Oh, me.
Oh,
Oh,
I got skipped. Oh damn.
yeah. No,
Oh,
that's,
my
yeah, so
bad.
I thought I had
Go
more
ahead,
time.
AJ. What was your favorite? What was your favorite?
Hot take. Legendary Godzilla.
I knew you was going to say that. I knew you was going to say that.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Right now, Eric Henry just fainted. So yeah.
I just got a bunch. I see. I was just unfriended by a bunch of people on Facebook.
All right, John, your favorite.
Okay. So the debate is between 3, 74, 75, and 93. 74 always wins, but I love what how he just the brow and everything about 75, the intensity. I love Justice Godzilla. It's nothing more important than Justice Godzilla. But 93 has a certain charm, certain place for me in the Heisei, just the design. It's a little fat, a little big, and I think that was matched by Mechagodzilla. But ultimately, the 74 always wins out. it's the nice right in the middle between not the Mechagodzilla and the 75. So 74 still the winner.
David.
I'm
Legendary Godzilla.
Yes. How did you guess? No. Actually, my favorite Godzilla incarnation in a Mechagodzilla film is actually going to surprise some people. It's the Kiryu Goji. I really like that.
Okay.
Wow.
I've always been a fan of it. It's not quite as I like the 2000 design a little bit better, but I really like the way they tried to sort of make him more Heisei-esque, so to speak, in those two films. And I really liked the way Godzilla moved and acted. And although I didn't like that he just kind of stood there sometimes, that is a different story. We're talking about design-wise, definitely the Kiryu Goji. I would have loved to have seen the third incarnation of that series if we didn't get what do you call it, Final Wars. The third chapter of the Kiryu series would have I think it would have been spectacular. But I do really enjoy that Godzilla suit, and I know that's a very unpopular opinion. I seem like I'm on my own island for most of these questions, but hey,
did you exit out of the thing?
It's
David,
all good,
you are
man.
your own island.
I am my own island, Monster Island.
How about you, Kyle? Your favorite incarnation of Godzilla that fought Mechagodzilla?
I'm leaning towards the Kiryu as well.
Wow.
And because I've never, as much as I love the Godzilla movies of the Showa era, I've always sort of felt like the 70s Godzilla suits didn't do it for me as the Showa era wrapped up, which of course includes the two Mechagodzilla films. And then in terms of the Heisei Mechagodzilla versus Godzilla, you're looking at basically your most generic Heisei Godzilla, as all, you know, in the 93 film, before he got the super thunder thighs from getting from having his nerves exploded or whatever happened there. And then but really, and I do not care for Godzilla Earth so much, so I would definitely say that the Kiryu design, and I will go with the 2002 version specifically before he gets the scar, because I love that Mechagodzilla scarred him.
Yep, me too. I agree with that one.
Hey, can I make a quick comment also about 74? I love the suit acting. I mean, the personality of 74 and the head motions, everything about it is just, it said Godzilla's for me. You know, Godzilla's fighting for us. That's what I like.
You know what? I'm going to expand upon that, because my favorite version of Godzilla that fought Mechagodzilla is 74. And going back to what you just said, John, about his performance, when you look at his performance in 74, he's not really as goofy and over the top as he was in 73 and 75. I think a good part of that is because he get his butt handed to him on multiple occasions. But even though there are a few moments where Godzilla does, have that over the top personality. Like when he fires at Mechagodzilla at the very end, and Mechagodzilla flies away at the last minute, and Godzilla's like, "Darn it, I almost had it." Stuff like that. But then when he turns himself into like a giant magnet, and you can tell Godzilla's like, he's like,
pulling it all in.
Come on. It's like he was having a Mortal Kombat moment. You know what I mean? He was like, just come to me. Come to daddy. Yes. Come to daddy.
Get over here. Yeah.
Get over here. But it wasn't over the top like in 73 where he's like, don't. So I agree with that. And you know what? Next question.
Can I ask you a quick comment?
Sure.
And then I got something after John.
Sure.
74, they would cut out the scene. I saw a version when he's on the island getting charged with lightning.
Love that scene.
That was cut out. And it was only until I saw it at the Academy of Natural Sciences on Halloween that I saw when he was absorbing the lightning for his next battle, next fight. So that just was like, that's totally dope.
That's an important scene. That's like
that
a
scene cut out.
Scene.
I've never even seen the movie without that one.
Oh, I've seen it without
that.
Yes.
Really?
And it was a big.
I love that scene.
I was like, I'm seeing scenes that I never saw before, and that was a crucial one.
To that point, though, I'm sorry.
But
Yeah,
also, what's so cool? Go ahead, AJ. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
That's why King Kong vs. Godzilla bothers me, because there are so many scenes throughout all of Godzilla where lightning, electricity is his life force,
Right.
or his Superman's son, and then Kong's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna tickle you," and Godzilla's like, "I hate this." I'm just like, what? That movie is so hard for me to digest, other than appreciating it for what it is, because of that. And I know Leslie's gonna kick me out of this now.
No. You're fine. At least you're able to take that film for what it is, and at least you're able to come up with some rational reasons why things happen. Versus some Godzilla fans that they just clueless. I'm sorry. I mean, you've seen it online. You know, you've seen it online.
As a kid, it always like bothered me. I was like, wait, why can't he walk through electrical wires? And I've seen him do that a million times.
Yeah, that bugged me. That bugged me too. That did bug me.
Give me one. Yeah, we went to the Alamo Draft House, and they showed a scene I had never seen before. It's kind of off the.
What?
Did you ever see the scene where the space aliens, one is lying down and he takes the mask off?
No.
The ape mask, or just rips it off? Have you ever seen that?
No, never.
They showed that at the Draft House before
Wait,
they showed Godzilla 84 and Godzilla vs. Biollante. I was like, where the heck did that come from?
That's what I love about the Draft House.
It's from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. The aliens lying down, you see him take the monkey off.
Yeah, but at what point in the movie are we talking? Like when?
I don't know where it came from. Me and John, what the heck? Where'd that come from? What was that?
Never seen
it. You go back to the operator. You're like, excuse me.
Exactly.
Where was this from?
And there was a scene from Godzilla vs. Megalon with Jaguar that we had never seen before. Like, what the heck? Where did this come from? And I'm telling you, see, back in the days in the 70s, stuff get cut out. For television and then for what was in the theater. And I want to see the unused footage from 74 because I think there's some out there that we're not seeing. Okay, I just had to say that. I had to get that out.
Our first viewing of Shin Godzilla was actually at the Alamo Draft House, and
Really?
that's what I love. What they do. They do that with all movies. So like when we saw Shin Godzilla, everything leading up to it was all these old school Godzilla commercials and stuff like that. When we saw the Meg, the giant Jaws movie, basically, like everything leading up into that movie was all like old school Jaws stuff, and like how Jaws created this whole, everyone was trying to knock off Jaws with all these horrible other knockoff movies. Like I love the Draft House.
That's a great experience. I hope they get more Godzilla movies. I'm there.
I need to see one. I need to see a movie in there. There's nothing in Seattle.
Yes, and they like they feed you for they feed you. You can order food, but like I think 5 and less aren't even allowed in the theater. Like you're not allowed to talk. Your phone goes off. They'll come down and escort you out. They're like, no, get out of here. So I appreciate it for that because I just want to watch the movie.
Kyle, what you want to say?
So I had a question for not just the people watching live, but also the co-panelists here. What's the very first historical mecha version of, you know what I mean? So we've got Godzilla fighting a mechanical version of Godzilla. What's the very first, at least Japanese? Anybody know?
I think I know.
Okay, David, go.
Is it the Rankin Bass King Kong cartoon where King Kong fights Mechanicong on Mondo Island?
It is not.
It is not.
But Mechanicong definitely is the first mechanical version of a kaiju in a film. However, before Mechanicong, there was a manga called Kaiju Raban, which was written by Shigeru Mizuki, the guy who did Gegege no Kitaro. And in this comic, he took the story and applied it to a Kitaro cartoon as well. But he basically created a monster, a kaiju, in this tale, and then they created a mechanical version of that kaiju to fight him. Then in the Gegege no Kitaro, basically Kitaro is investigating a giant monster, and he goes with this scientist who's supposed to be helping, but then the scientist ends up turning Kitaro into the giant monster. And then the scientist, after saying like, oh, this giant monster, we've got to destroy him, he comes up with the mechanical version of the whale monster. Totally worth checking out if you get a second.
Cool.
So
Never
anyway,
knew that.
dates all the way back to, I think, the 50s. Where is this? Kaiju Reborn 58. 1958 is when that came out.
Awesome.
Manga.
That's a nice little thing. Now, Leslie, before you go, I have one thing to say to coincide with what you guys were talking about with the Ale House showing clips, right? Now, when I first saw Terra Mechagodzilla, I saw it on TV, Channel 9, and they had a prologue.
Yeah.
It had all of these. I can't believe we forgot to mention this. I loved that prologue because there was a narrator who said Godzilla, blah, 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 blah. He fought all the monsters from outer space, and it showed clips from Monster Zero,
Yep.
Kaiju the Three-Headed Monster,
All
Godzilla
of
versus
the
Sea Monster.
offerings.
It was just
Saperstein
really
did
cool.
that.
Yeah,
Yep.
Saperstein. It was a
Yep.
very cool introduction to that film, and I've always loved that part of it. And then it went right into the no, 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 no,
Yeah.
no, 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 and then showed the clips from the first Mechagodzilla. But I remember, like, for the longest time, that prologue was missing. I never got to see it, and I'm like wondering, did that really even happen? And then finally, someone, showed me a video cassette that they recorded off of TV. It's like, yeah, sure, it sure does, and it's actually included in the Sony version,
The classic media version.
Yes.
classic media version.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that because you guys were talking about clips and previews before the actual feature film at the Alamo House. That was the cool clips and features before Terror of Mechagodzilla that I saw as a kid on Channel 9, and I loved every second of it. I was living for that stuff. Even though it's not really accurate what they're saying, it doesn't matter.
It's awesome, though.
It doesn't matter. Whoops. It does not matter as I knock my fingers over. But yeah, I had to mention that because we hadn't really talked about that.
I still have my VHS tape of that. Saperstein, a huge robot monster, impervious to anything. Mechagodzilla. I mean, it's a whole that whole prologue is epic. It's inaccuracies, but he summed up the whole.
He did.
I have the clip on my website with the dialogue transcribed. It's hokey,
great.
but I love it.
It's
I'm with you
hokey.
there.
It's
You look
hokey, and I love
forward to it. It's better than the Japanese intro. It just rolls right with the clips from '74, but he sets that up so nice. And with the cinema shares, everything about it says '70s. It's
Yes, sir. Indeed.
great memories.
What I was going to say, I was going to jump off what John said about the '74, and that's what I appreciate about that suit. I know that suit doesn't really appeal to everybody, and I understand that. But when you look at his appearance from Megalon to Mechagodzilla to Terror, and it's basically the same suit. All they did was just they played musical chairs with his dorsal plates. They changed the dorsal plates around or whatever. But it's just those subtle changes where he has those puppy dog eyes in '73, but they changed the eyes in '74 to make him a lot more menacing, more serious. Then they changed the brow where he looks really pissed off in '75, even though it's heroic. It's just those little subtle changes. Like like David can appreciate this, and AJ. The 64 and the 64B, all it took was like he goes from evil to just kind of like wacky, and it's like, but it's virtually the same suit.
It's essentially the same suit. You're right.
And I love that so much. All right, here's the next question. And we've been talking about Ifukube, here and there, but in your opinion, which Ifukube Mechagodzilla soundtrack is better, 75 or 93? Papa Russo.
Oh, God, that's tough.
I'm sorry, David.
That's a tough one. Shoot.
Maybe not.
Which one do you enjoy more, Papa Russo?
I got to go with the Heisei film, the '93.
Same. That might actually be my favorite all-time soundtrack, other than obviously the original score.
93. It's nothing like that opening.
Oh yes.
That is genius.
Great '90s CGI as well. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm going to surprise everybody and agree with what you said. The 93.
Wow.
It's just a pounding soundtrack that it elevates that movie so much. If it did not have that soundtrack, the movie would not be as impactful to me. Yes, Scott. I mean, and that. Having said that, I absolutely love Ifukube's not original, his 75 score, but the 93 is pretty badass.
Mhm. It really is.
Agree.
Oh,
The Heisei movie, because I know AJ and Frank say Bandai, which is absolutely correct. So I'm just making sure that they get the memo that it's Heisei, not
Okay.
Heisei. Something you guys can like roll into your future episodes. But
we'll roll
yeah,
into
I'm
that.
throwing a little shade. Anyway. Anyway, the 93 score is bombastic and awesome. And when you're looking for a 90s Ifukube score, I think it's the best one,
It's almost workout
just
music.
outside of Destroya.
They're neck and neck.
wow.
My two favorites. I agree.
For me, I guess I'm the David Dopko in the situation. I'm on the island. I'm going with Terror on this one.
Oh.
They're both great scores.
Hey,
Yeah.
they're both great.
It's
It's
tough
neck
to
and neck.
choose.
It's really close. It's really close.
It's like, you know what? I'm reminded, even though I'm going with Terror, I am reminded, like, whenever I do pop in 93 and that music does come on, I'm reminded, this really is good. And then at the very end of Shin Godzilla, when you have the closing credits and they play, classic Ifukube tracks, and at the very end they play that theme, I'm like, I'm in the bed, like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. I'm like, yes, it does. It does something to you. It does something to you.
It does something to you.
Yeah, it does.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
And then those drums in the background.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said it,
Yeah.
it's borderline workout music. Like,
So good.
You ain't lying.
I'm gonna have to go
going.
listen to that score after this.
Oh, yeah.
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 It's
All right.
and those Heisei openings are something too.
yes.
91, 89,
Yes.
all of them are special. Those tracks or something.
I can picture in my mind James Hartman lifting weights to that theme.
All right. Next
He's gonna kill me
question.
for that, but whatever.
Next question. In your opinion, which set of back-to-back Mechagodzilla films are better and or your favorite? 74 and 75 or the Kiryu saga? Papa Russo, go.
Oh no, I'm going Showa on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without hesitation, he just like, I'm
Yeah.
sure with this one.
Same. And it's Heisei, not Heisei.
Hey,
Hey,
say.
Hey,
So
say.
say. Oh, wait.
Hey,
Say
Hooked on phonics with Kaiju Live coming. That's be the next show.
John, what about you?
Show me some respect.
Yeah.
74, 75. No doubt about it in my mind.
Showa.
Yes. Could this be the first unanimous on here?
Show
No, there was another one. Oh, it's unanimous. Woohoo!
Show
Yeah.
all the way.
Yes.
Show
all
That's
the
right.
Show me
Yes.
money.
After an hour and a half, we finally agree on one thing. We agree on one thing. I'm with y'all. Showa. Even though I enjoy the Kiryu films,
Me
but
too. Totally, yes.
but the Showa ones, it's just nothing like Showa. Even though there's shortcomings, obviously, but to me, there's nothing that beats the Showa. All right, next question, and it's regardless of the Mechagodzilla incarnation. But what is your favorite Mechagodzilla weapon?
Mhm.
To give you a frame of reference, I'll just go first to give you a frame of reference. My favorite is the rainbow-colored death rays from 74 and 75. That's mine. When he just shoots at buildings and they just disappear, I love that. I love that.
There's only one.
And of course, it's plenty to choose from. You have the death ray eyes from 74. You have the absolute zero cannon from 2002. The triple hyper mazer from 2003.
Garuda.
Yeah.
Garuda or the G Crusher, or the plasma grenade.
Yeah.
I
The
hate the
Mech-
G Crusher. I hate the G
Or
Crusher.
even
And
just
you can
the,
get two. Yeah.
Actually, I'm
Mega
going to go with 93 and the Garuda and also the belly cannon there,
Yeah.
Plasma
Nice.
grenade.
And plasma grenade. Yeah, that just
Yeah.
lifts
Okay.
Godzilla
which
up.
Bandai doesn't even show in the model.
Mm.
yeah, that always bothered me. How they were like, we're not even gonna put that detail in.
Don't take mine, AJ. Don't take my favorite, AJ.
No, I'm actually agreeing with that. Garuda, like the whole Super Mecha Godzilla concept, unless you just want to count like Showa when he's got his head around and he's firing everything as one weapon.
Yeah, that's badass.
Where it's just,
There's no doubt that's badass.
all out assault. That's that. But I just love the whole Garuda concept and like him getting like a big power upgrade. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the
That's
whole
one of my
Super
favorite
Megas.
toys.
Hmm.
It's a 16-inch DX,
18-inch DX,
93.
yeah.
Is there any moment greater than 75 when Mechagodzilla's rotating missiles blows up the street?
Oh yeah,
You know?
That's
I mean,
what I'm talking about.
that's the best shot.
Scenes.
Yeah,
That perspective of that shot is
it's
genius.
genius.
yeah.
I think
That's
it
one of
blew
the
up more
best
than they
shots.
expected.
It did. It did. But that's
But
not
it
what
was
I'm
epic.
going with. I'm not going with that. I'm
Hmm.
going with absolute zero. I love that. If they would have done that right, if they would have figured out how to get that together, Godzilla would have been done, man. He would have been frozen, and
Yeah, that
it's-
would have.
it didn't work right, but in theory, Toho pseudoscience, just like the micro black hole, just like those two, they were great ideas, but the humans just couldn't figure out how to get it to work. So those two could have been the end of Godzilla. So I love the absolute zero cannon. I think it's very badass, and I just love that concept. So
I completely agree. Absolute zero cannon for me, not only for the reasons that David said, but also because, as I spoke about Masaki Tezuka earlier, this was his. I'm gonna try and shoehorn as many like cool things from the Showa era as possible
Yes.
in my films, and so the absolute zero cannon is from Atragon, which is
You know,
like
that's
one
right.
of
that's right.
it's like
That's
a
right.
classic,
Oh, really?
classic.
It
yeah,
is.
I
the
didn't know
absolute
that.
zero cannon is on the front of Atragon. So
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
let me just illustrate here for anybody who
Nice.
hasn't seen Atragon. The little prong at the very front shoots a freezing ray, and that's how they break into the Mu Empire. Anyway,
Oh.
I just love the fact that they included that in Mechagodzilla as like his big bad, and that end scene where Mechagodzilla does end up firing the absolute zero cannon, and it creates that killer, crazy ice explosion
It's amazing.
that's like frozen in place. Oh, that was such a killer, beautiful, beautiful scene in that film.
Yes, it was. Now, Leslie, real quick, before we move
Mm-hmm.
on, getting back to the favorite two films in a row, 74, 75, and the two Kiryu films. If we're going for continuity, we got to go with the Kiryu films just for continuity, because there's a lot of things that don't make sense from 74 to 75. So just wanted to throw that one in there too. So if we're talking continuity, they missed the boat on
When
that.
I was a kid watching those movies back to back, the 74 and 75, I thought the scientist was the same guy.
Yeah, well,
I mean, because it's the
Uh-huh.
same actor. I just always assumed that they were the same
It's very
person, and then they're
confusing.
not.
They're not.
I was like,
It is
what?
Very confusing, and the aliens are switched. They're not the apes anymore. They're different.
Yeah, they're just
From
they
the
got
Right.
silly helmets on now.
Yeah,
you're like-
I mean, it's.
but it's the same guy.
Right.
I've always been a stickler for continuity, and in
Yeah.
all of the Godzilla films. So I think it's done best in the transition from
Yes.
Mothra versus Godzilla to Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster. That's a very smooth transition.
Yeah.
Considering they were made this essentially the same year, they did a nice job. I do think that they should have had the same actors play themselves. Like, anyway, I'm digressing. We'll talk about this later. But yes,
You know, it's
Move on.
funny. I always bring up Kyle's Kaiju cast and his rediscussion of Terra Mechagodzilla, which, in my opinion, that is like my favorite one that I go back to on a weekly basis. And, we're talking about how the continuity issue between 74 and Terra, and how they use the same actors, but they are different characters, but they don't really do a good job explaining that. And I'm telling you, when we're done with this stream, go back, fire up the Kaiju cast, and it's the rediscussion, not the original discussion, but the rediscussion between Kyle, Adam, and I think who was it? Was it Dave? I think it was Dave. I
I
think.
can't remember who was in there.
I think I know you were there, but
I was there for sure. Yes.
Yeah, he was there Kyle was there for sure, and you can just hear in his voice if he's trying to explain to the audience the connection between 74 and 75. And he even flat out says, he's talking to Toho and he says, like, Toho, maybe you shouldn't get the same actors to do different roles. You might not confuse your audience. And again, that episode is it's just so fun because I can hear the frustration in Kyle's voice, because Adam on the show, he is talking about Terra Mechagodzilla as if he's talking about Shakespeare's best play. And you can hear in Kyle's voice, he's like, no, you shouldn't talk like that. I'm serious. Fired up. The rediscussion, Terra Mechagodzilla. It's fun. They have a good time with it, obviously. But you can tell, even Kyle says it every now and then, I have no connection like that to this film whatsoever. So it's fun to hear. All right. We got like 3-4 more questions, then we're going to be out of here. The next question is, where is it? I'm trying to... bear with me. Oh, okay. What is your favorite daytime fight between these two? 74 or 75? Papa Russo.
Well,
Daytime fight.
yeah. I can't recall the scene, so I don't want to just make something up. So I'm going to pass on this one.
So you don't remember King Caesar and Godzilla fighting Mechagodzilla and Godzilla fighting Titanosaurus and Mechagodzilla?
Oh, sure.
Well, you put it like that.
Well, they happen in the daytime.
Well, why'd you throw daytime in there? You confused me.
Sometimes it's
I'm like,
the
wait a
dark
minute. They
blue.
don't fight at night in anything.
Say what now?
Entire
Yes.
show?
And that's
In
actually the next
75,
question. That's the next question. You know what? I might as well ask it now. Your favorite
go with
daytime fight?
The Titanosaurus fight.
Okay. AJ.
Thank you.
Mine, because Abby loves King Caesar, and I've probably watched that finale fight now like 20 times with her. So it's 74.
Yeah. 74
John.
for me too. 74
How about you,
for
David?
me as well.
74.
74
Kyle?
for me too. Yeah, 74.
Yeah, I'm going with 75 on this one. I just love Godzilla fighting, against all odds and stuff like that. But I mean, even though I prefer 74 as a movie, fight scene wise, I prefer 75. What is your favorite nighttime fight between these two? 93 or 2002? And 2003, you know what? Might as well throw that in
Thank
there because that was a nighttime fight. So between these three, what is your favorite nighttime Mechagodzilla fight? 93, 2002, 2003.
Well, I like 93.
93.
93. Definitely.
2002, Shinagawa, the first place I ever went to in Tokyo.
Awesome.
2003, I think. Especially when you add Mothra to the mix in that film. Everything, even at night, looks fantastic.
It does.
Oh, I think the big stadium in '93 and.
Yeah, exactly. Godzilla walking through a baseball stadium. That's all I needed to see.
There is no wrong answer.
Matsui's in that shot, isn't he?
No, he's in Kiryu.
That's in
Kiryu. Yeah.
That's in 2002, I think. That when that baseball player was in that. Yeah. 2002.
Hideki Matsui. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have that New York Yankee jersey, and it's got his number with Godzilla on it.
Oh man. Brings them very harmful memories.
Yeah.
Against the Phillies, I don't like that memories.
Sorry.
That's true. Well, I'm talking about the scene in the hospital where the nurse is bringing the patients out, and all of a sudden Godzilla's about to shoot his ray, and then Kiryu just goes, "Bam!" That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's just pretty badass.
And fun fact,
that
was Sujimori from Mechagodzilla making a cameo.
Was it really?
Yeah, the nurse
that was Sujimori?
that's the girl from Mechagodzilla, and the soldier that helped her was her commanding officer of Mechagodzilla that gets killed, that makes her want to get revenge on Godzilla throughout the film.
I did not make that connection, Mr. Chambers.
I'm here to help. That's what I'm here to do.
Yes, you are.
That's so many movies to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite nighttime fight between those three will have to be probably 93. All right, next question. And I know, some folks may have certain feelings about these versions of Mechagodzilla, but in my opinion, from what I've seen, these are probably regarded as probably like the most least, I guess the least favorite amongst a lot of people. But just give your honest opinion. But in your opinion, which version of Mechagodzilla deserves more love? The 93 or the Monsterverse? Papa Russo,
Oh
go.
gosh.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, John.
You know what? I'm going to say the 93 again because I do like that suit. He's more mobile. He does more like martial art moves. And he gets passed by a lot. Like everyone loves, and for good reason. Everyone loves the Showas, which are great.
And then Kiryu, everyone loves.
And then the
Kiryu.
Kiryus came in, and 93 kind of got lost in the mix a little bit.
Yep.
And I love that toy. I do.
I'm going to defend Legendary Mechagodzilla a little bit because I always hear Transformers thrown out a lot, which really bothers me because his design is very basic and you can clearly see the Terminator influence, especially with the red. They might as well have just been like Skynet. They should have just called the company Skynet that made him. So I feel like that's a design that's going to grow on people as it continues to exist. And honestly, I think if they would have not given it the crane hands,
do it again, Kyle. Show it.
So,
Go ahead.
if they didn't give him the crane hands, I think, and gave him like missile hands, which I think that would have really propped up the design for a lot of people. But I mean, then he wouldn't have been able to slam Godzilla's head into multiple buildings, and so it's a give and take. So yeah, I'm gonna stick up for Legendary.
John, what about you? Which one deserves more love in your opinion? Monsterverse or 93?
93 is
John didn't hesitate not one bit.
Yeah.
too much. The
David?
Legendary, there's not enough screen time,
True.
for me to have
True.
any enduring connection.
True.
David, I wonder what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, actually, I'm going to completely agree with Frank because I personally need to rediscover and give more love to the 93. As we've been talking throughout this discussion, it's piqued my interest to go back and rewatch that movie again because there's so much good about it that maybe now I'll look at it with different eyes when I see that Mechagodzilla design, because it is a very, very, very solid entry in the Heisei series. And I think that it definitely does deserve more love, especially from myself personally. And sorry to disappoint you, AJ. I don't care how many times or how old it gets. I will never be a fan of that.
That's fine.
Godzilla.
That's fine.
It's not going to grow on me.
I'm never gonna love Mechagodzilla City, so it's fine.
No, me neither. No, I'm not going to.
No, I know, but I'm just saying,
no, it's just
there are
it's
some
just
things
not,
that are just not for you.
Yeah, it's just not for me. But I think that the 93 deserves more love, and it deserves a lot of us fans to go back and revisit those films because
I agree.
The Heisei, sort of got swept away. I'm a huge Showa fan. What's interesting is what Leslie was saying in the beginning. Like, we all have our favorites that we love, and you only gave me one. You gave me Mothra versus Godzilla, which is still my favorite if I had to choose one. But lately, the 1954 film is just like, that's my go-to. I watch that like a couple times a month because I just love, and I go back and forth. I watch the American version and I watch the Japanese version, and I think the American version definitely has its place in the series. And so those two, now when you refer to David and his two favorite Godzilla movies, it's Mothra versus Godzilla and the 1954 masterpiece. So just a little put that in there.
How about you, Kyle? Which one you think deserves more love, Monsterverse or 93?
I guess I would say the 93. I don't have anything really against the Monsterverse design. I mean, I said Transformers, or I said David stole the Dinobot thing, and I said
Oh, no, I wasn't directed at you.
Earlier.
I hear that a lot.
But
the Transformers thing gets thrown around.
In
by
terms
everybody.
of all the Mechagodzilla designs, I understand why they went the way they went with for the legendary one, but yeah, I don't know. There was something about it that to me, as soon as he appeared in the film, I was just kind of like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's one of these. It reminded me. I think it reminded me a little too much of the Michael Bay Transformers.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
But I'm not saying that I hated the design. I actually, for what they went for, I think they accomplished it well. Right? I just didn't love the design, and I don't really even love the Ready Player One Mechagodzilla.
I don't like that one at all.
Yeah.
No.
But the 93 film, like it came out almost 30 years ago, and now we're looking at it with those almost 30-year-old memory eyes, and we're like,
true.
oh, you know what? That's not so. We may have
absolutely
glossed
right.
over those movies for a little while for one reason or another, but like there's so much good in that particular film. And I just think that like maybe if the suit had been a little more, I don't know, like
Agile, like,
I guess jacked
agile
up,
looking.
right? Like so the Mechagodzilla of the Showa era just was deadly. Missiles firing out from all over the place, crazy spinning head design, you know, and then you get the 93 film, and they had some cool stuff. Garuda was cool. The plasma grenade was cool. Those were the G Crusher. What a crazy cool idea! But the fact that he's a hero, the fact that he's like he's got to be the good guy, even though they did a very harmful thing to Godzilla in that film. Like I think that movie it probably deserves all of the praise it got when it came out, and then for the next many years, you know. But definitely should get revisited as a really solid entry in the Godzilla
So
franchise.
one of the things that I really appreciated about Legendary Mechagodzilla is, from what I understand, their original concept for Mechagodzilla, because he was built with Mecha King Ghidorah's technology, was Mecha King Ghidorah's, like, that was actually supposed to corrupt Mechagodzilla's systems, and he was supposed to go crazy. So they kind of took that idea that was unused and applied that to the legendary Godzilla. So like I kind of just, because I just want evil Mechagodzilla, man. That's all I want.
Yeah.
I just want him to be.
I can't argue with
I
that.
like it.
That's
Evil,
solid
evil,
reasoning right there.
evil is the way to go. I agree.
Yeah. So like when
When
King Ghidorah just takes over legendary Godzilla, and you can even hear like the Ghidorah like screech, like as they show that wire shot going up to him, like as if it was like, here comes Kevin, he's coming to take. I know, Leslie, you hate that term, but
I hate that term. I really do.
Kevin the left head. I just loved it, and I was like, finally. I think that's what it's just bad guy Mechagodzilla, and I just have been waiting. We've been waiting so long to see that again. And boy, did he just slap the living crap out of it.
Also, on the 93 film, wasn't that supposed to be the Godzilla dies?
Yes, originally I think so, right? And I remember seeing that in like G-Fan back in the day. Like that was supposed
Well,
to
the
be
Godzilla
the end.
Dies tagline was specifically for Destroya, but in terms of like, did they do it? They essentially did it. I mean,
Yeah, no,
They
I
were
thought,
going
like, they
to
were-
end it.
I
but the
think I think they
advertising
were
end
thinking
for
about ending
95
it.
said Godzilla Dies in English.
Yeah, they were going to end it. From what I understand, they were going to end it with Mechagodzilla 93, because that was when the negotiations started happening, which TriStar to bring the American Godzilla, the 98. But I think the negotiations kind of like were taking longer than expected. And plus, I think 93 did make some money, even though 92 made the most money from the Heisei period. But 93 was like, you know what? You know, there's still some interest left, so we can still keep going for a couple more movies. But they were originally going to end the series with 93.
Yeah, they saw the American Godzilla design and were like, yeah, we can keep going.
Yep.
Yeah, pretty much. For me, I think between the two, I think through this show and through y'all's enthusiasm, I think a lot of people are going to gravitate more towards 93 now. And I've seen a lot of people that love the 93. I think between the two, I think the Monsterverse deserves a little bit of love. I mean, the design is however you feel about it. But like what AJ said, ever since 74 and 75, I always wanted to see Mechagodzilla be the evil, destructive, badass that I know he can be. And even though he was turned into a man-made weapon in '93 in the Kiryu films, kind of like King Ghidorah from the Monsterverse. I've always wanted to see a version of King Ghidorah that was evil and wild and savage as his original incarnation, but we never really got that throughout the the movies after Ghidorah 3 the Monster, in my opinion. And I feel the same way about Mechagodzilla. I think Mechagodzilla, the Monsterverse one, comes about as close as to the original incarnation of Mechagodzilla, the evil badass version. And to me, I think he deserves more love in that respect. Like I said, the fact that he gave Godzilla the worst beating that I've ever seen Godzilla get, that alone, for me, makes me believe that, he should get more love. Two more questions about the movies, then we'll go into the collectibles for a few seconds before we roll up out of here. Speaking of the Monsterverse Mechagodzilla, between these two, which Mechagodzilla version is more brutal, 74 or Monsterverse?
That's tough.
Wow.
The design-wise is irrelevant, but in terms of performance, sheer devastating performance, the one that gave Godzilla the worst hellacious beating, who was more brutal, who was more vicious. Which one is more vicious, Monsterverse or 74? Papa Russo said, what'd you say, Monsterverse?
Monsterverse. I mean, let's face it. He took him to the
If it wasn't
maybe his last breath there for a second.
Yeah, that's tough because also in '74, if Godzilla didn't, magically become a giant magnet out of nowhere, he might not have survived there either.
Right.
I got to go with Monsterverse because if Kong's not in that movie, like Godzilla's dead, it's over.
You felt the beating.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they made sure of that with some of the scenes. Yeah. That's a tough one, but yeah, I'll give the slight edge to Monsterverse.
I'm going with 74 because Monsterverse only got its idea from 74.
Damn, that hate. I love it.
And let me say, I mean, that first appearance at night in the oil refinery, and when Godzilla, the blast puts Godzilla into Tokyo Bay, and Mechagodzilla goes down. That blood that had me all shook up. Like, is it over? And at the end, I mean, that's my favorite when Godzilla, becomes the magnet, and but before that, the blood. I mean, when do we see Godzilla that bloody other than Godzilla versus Gigan? I mean, that was like, this is the end has come. Everybody else, takes notes from that. If you're gonna put Godzilla on the brink of defeat, that's it. Even Terror Mechagodzilla is just accentuates that. But Mecha was ruthless. I mean, everything. He had Godzilla and King Caesar like done, cooked turkeys in the oven. Godzilla just had to pull one out of his hat. He was prepared.
Yeah.
How about you, David?
Well, I it's not really a fair question for me because I kind of checked out of Godzilla versus Kong right after the scene on the barge, which I really loved. I loved that scene, and the rest of the movie I don't even remember a lot of it. I guess fair. It was pretty good, but I think that of course, the 74, he just was like John said. He also he bloodied up Godzilla like I'd never seen before, and I was really shocked when they both fired their ray and they both were pretty messed up afterwards. I mean, Godzilla had to go back and get fixed, and Godzilla had to go to the island to get fixed, right? And to get enhanced. And actually, now John, when you mentioned that you had not seen when you first saw the movie, that scene was cut. How the hell? That's like.
That's crazy.
Explains the whole ending. It's like
I only knew
ridiculous
from what Saperstein, his prologue from '75.
You saw that
because he said before unknown powers,
right? Right.
And that was kind of my only context. Like, how did he do this? And now I found a Japanese kids book that explains what he was doing on that island, and it's a name for the weapon. Particularly, I can't recall it. When he became the magnet. That's a whole. They give a whole little section on that piece.
I'm sure they do. Classic 70s style, right?
He got really messed up and actually both movies, 74 and 75. 75, makes me laugh because Toho sort of like always this is the most egregious use of gravity or lack thereof in many of the fight scenes in that movie. You know, when Titanosaurus kicks him and he kind of goes up and then goes down.
It's hard.
And, you know, it's like, but it's definitely gravity isn't really following the rules of nature in that film. But yeah, I just have to go with the 74.
How about you, Kyle?
After all the discussion, I'm trying to remember what who's the most brutal? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yeah, between 74 and Monsterverse, which one is more brutal?
Ooh. Yeah, I think I want to vote for the 70s Mechagodzilla. Number one, because we got to see him do that brutality twice as much as the legendary Mechagodzilla. But I think the legendary Mechagodzilla has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
You know, if Legendary hadn't been playing the game, who's the real villain of this movie? You know, then I think we maybe could have gotten Mechagodzilla earlier, and it would be cool to see like a classic Toho-ism would have been to see Godzilla fight Mechagodzilla, maybe Mechagodzilla fight Kong, and then the two of them realize that they got to work together.
Yeah.
I did enjoy the way it played out, and for anybody that doesn't know how I feel about the Monsterverse movies, overall they're okay, and I did enjoy them in the theaters, but they just don't have that same resonance. So I'm almost always going to vote for the show, the Japanese stuff, so the show era.
Yep.
For me, I'm going to go with 74, even though I enjoy the performance of Monsterverse, as I gleefully told y'all earlier. Just seeing Godzilla bleed and see him scream like that really traumatized me as a kid. I mean, it was bad enough seeing Gigan give him, you know, CTE and making him bleed.
Ouch.
But when Mechagodzilla did it, he was he was just relentless. Like the blood just came out of everywhere, and Mechagodzilla just kept pounding him, and Godzilla was just screaming and over. And then when he fired those missiles, they actually pierced in his skin and stayed there. I was like,
That's awesome.
again, it's the whole Hedra thing. I cut the movie off because I thought he was going to die. I thought this is it. It's over. You know, it's funny that, you know, it would have been kind of poetic that it took another Godzilla to defeat the real Godzilla. But in this case, I'm going with 74. And the last question I want to hit y'all with before we go into the collectibles.
Leslie, could I just?
Yes, sir.
I was good. The Japanese term for what Godzilla did, you know, with the lightning on the island is called Rakurai Power Sakusen.
Okay.
It means Godzilla's lightning strike power strategy.
I love it.
I love it too.
Yes.
And it worked.
All right.
And it worked.
All right.
Sorry.
Now, here's the last question as far as like the movies. And you can put yourselves into this question, okay? All right. You just personally, you just found out that an army of lethal and evil monsters are headed for Earth, but you're given an option to pilot a version of Mechagodzilla to stop them. Out of all the incarnations, which one are you using to go to war with?
Oh, that's a good question. I like that.
You said aliens are coming?
Just a whole bunch of lethal monsters are coming to your house to F it up. But you have the whole fleet of Mechagodzillas that you can pilot to stop them, but you can only use one. Which one are you using?
You're using that.
I know my answer.
Wow.
Don't you love my questions? Don't you love them?
There's
It's
only
big.
one
That's a
answer.
good question.
It's tough going first.
See, I'm trying
Frank,
to really
isn't
put
it?
myself in that situation where
People who are watching live should chime in the chat so we can have like
which one
Absolutely.
would I pick?
some buffer time so we can see what your answers are. Be like, oh yeah, that's a good answer.
I like the flight power, you know. I mean, I know Showas fly, but I don't know. They didn't seem too fighter pilot-ish, you know. So it's going to be either a 93 or a Kiryu for me, I think.
People in the chat
I'm
are
going to go with
chiming
a
in.
Kiryu. I'll
Yeah,
take
people
a
in the chat
Kiryu
are
this
chiming
time.
in. They're saying Kiryu. The responses we got so far are saying Kiryu 2002.
I mean,
Right.
AJ, what are you picking?
The clear answer is Mechagodzilla City.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. That's the only time that's relevant.
Damn it. I was going to say that.
Thank
No.
you. Yes, the city.
Oh yeah, it would be
So wait, if you have the city, doesn't that mean you're stationary? You don't move. You just
That's
wait
right.
for them to attack you. Yeah.
does
Boom.
does this
Waiting
version
game.
count? The Mecha Bowser? Can I get this? Can I pilot
Let me
this?
see that. Let me see that. I gotta blow that up. Hold on.
Dude,
So-
this is my contender for figure of the year, man. From Bid Toys, I'm a huge
Wow.
gamer, and
That's dope.
Mecha Bowser, this is amazing. But
How much is that? Can you
Almost
still
looks
get that?
they're coming out with a different version. I think like his these are black now, so they're kind of reissuing it because of how popular it was. And this
Oh.
wasn't
Almost
that.
like Gamera. It looks like
Yeah,
Gamera.
no, like
Well, yeah, it's funny. Like when they did the original crossover, they turned Bowser into Godzilla and Mario into Ultraman, which I thought was hilarious because Bowser's a turtle. I'm like, why isn't he Gamera? But that's beside the point. Because
Cool.
this is
It's kinda
awesome.
Oh, that's fabulous.
That's kind of cool.
If I had an entire army coming at me, legendaries can't fly, so I kind of feel like that's a negative. Kind of need that. Yeah, I think I'd go with Kiryu.
Yeah, you need air superiority.
Although Kiryu can't fly, right? Kiryu just glides, right? He's kind of got
Kiryu
that.
has the backpack that helps Kiryu fly.
All right, so then yes, then never mind. All right, Kiryu, go with Kiryu.
Oh, I'm going with
How about
the
you,
city.
David? I mean,
You go
John.
with the city.
Oh, the city, for real, for real. Oh yeah,
The
Are you
city
serious?
never sleeps.
yeah. Yeah,
Are you serious, John? Or you
Yes.
will not change?
that's the only time I ever have anything good to say about the city, but that's the one.
Okay, John. Okay, okay, we laughed. The joke is over. Okay, we get it. Like, no, seriously, what's your answer?
I mean, if he can control the whole city, maybe he can actually resurrect its actual Mechagodzilla. I don't know. You have no. Did they ever explain how the city even works?
I saw some transformation of it or something,
Yeah,
on
it's-
Twitter. I don't know what it was, but it looked good for a moment when I thought it could fly and do things or something.
No.
I'm going with the city.
He's really serious. Okay,
I'm
go ahead.
serious.
John's going with the city so he could sit down and watch Mechagodzilla from 1974 on the big screen. All the real things attack his city.
How about you, David? What are you picking? Which Mechagodzilla are you piloting, or flying, whatever?
I would not be choosing the city. That's for sure. I think just because to control the Showa Mechagodzilla, I'd have to be part of the control. They'd have to make me like a part of it, like they did with Katsura, and I'm not ready to do that just yet. So I think I'm going to have to go with Kiryu because as a backup, it still has the Godzilla bones and the Godzilla instincts. So if anything did happen to me or the control, it could still sort of finish the battle on its own. But yeah, I don't want to be. I don't want the Mechagodzilla controller inside of me.
its own damage.
I don't want that to happen. So Kiryu for me and for you.
How about you, Kyle?
I also would go with Kiryu. I think that in terms of like taking control of a Mechagodzilla to do battle with other monsters, I think Kiryu's probably got the advantage over the other monsters, the other mechas that I've seen.
For me, this may be controversial. I'm going with the Monsterverse. The brutal mind of King Ghidorah within the body of Mechagodzilla. That's a lethal combination that I'm going with.
But aren't
He
we
may not be able-
defending Earth?
Huh?
Right? Aren't we supposed to be defending Earth though? Because he's just gonna turn on you and join them, right?
I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care. The mind of King Ghidorah within the body
Fair
of Mechagodzilla, that on paper sounds so awesome. And if the idea is to kill everything in sight, that's what I'm choosing. Now, we have covered the film portion of this discussion. Now, before we get up out of here, because we're almost done with this stream. Let's show off some of our favorite collectibles of Mechagodzilla, regardless of the movie or whatever. Let's start with the Russos. What do you got to show us, fellas?
All right. Well,
Okay.
behind us, I pretty much plucked something from everything. We're not going to go through all of them, but that Mechagodzilla bust is one of
That's
our
awesome.
favorites. We got that customly made. Shout
dope.
outs to Sean. But I think our grail of Mechagodzilla collectibles is
Show it!
absolutely
Yeah.
the Bondi
Oh, yeah.
RC.
Yep.
And if you have no idea what this does,
That's the monster.
want to shamelessly plug our YouTube channel. We did do a review of this. This thing is
And
insane.
actually,
And
I thought the
while
literal answer to that was everything. It does everything.
yeah, it does everything.
That's the ultimate method.
And what it lacks in clearly the paint app from the X Plus Gigantic, it makes up in, again, literally doing everything. And even though I just showed them off before, I freaking love this thing from Bid Toys. Yeah, so.
It's dope.
But the RC Bondi Mechagodzilla is our
That's
pride
pretty
and joy.
badass.
Yeah, that's a treasure.
As well it should be. That is an
Yeah.
instant grail piece for many of us out there.
Yeah, I remember when we
Oh, my turn. Okay, I have a
got
few
that
items.
on the floor.
Growing up, probably in the early in '84, having this movie comics, Mechagodzilla no Gyakushu. It's like a comic version.
Oh,
Oh,
look at
wow.
Oh
That's
yeah,
neat.
with the script, it's the best. I mean, if you can get these now for like $5 off of Buyee, if you can
So it's
find
like
it.
movie stills with captions over the
Mhm.
top, right?
Yes,
Cool.
I have Godzilla versus Destroyer. I mean, the whole set of these. It's like 5 of them.
That's
Godzilla
awesome.
84, Mothra versus Godzilla. So they're awesome. And this, this was
Yeah, that's the
everything.
one. That's the
Oh.
one. I need to get that. I need to re-get that.
I have 3 of them. You know, you gotta get a stash. I had my first one where it's all covered in tape because I was trying to keep it together for as long as I could. This is one of the best Mechagodzilla books out there. If you get it, everything about it is wonderful. But this is the David's word, quintessential.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
This
Oh, yeah.
this
the
is the. And I believe both scripts are in here too, in the back.
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
wow.
Man.
nice.
Another great. This is just one of the 2. The laser disc.
Record albums, yeah. Oh,
This
Laserdisc.
is
Oh,
a beautiful cover. This is for Terror, but the '74 cover is awesome too. And lastly, let's see, probably the honor of doing an official Mechagodzilla.
Yes, yes, yes.
Congrats, man. That's
Yep.
Sorry, Leslie.
Yes. That's
So
awesome,
for you.
man.
That
You
was
deserve it.
pinnacle of my experience. David,
Yep.
Well-
Next, my friend.
you guys have been viewing these awesome
I
pieces
gotta
from
get-
Bandai Premium throughout the whole show. The Imposter Godzilla and the Transforming Godzilla. These quickly were elevated to favorites in my collection. They just knocked them out of the park, and they're so unique. And AJ showed something that I just got this year, the X Plus Gigantic 74. I don't need to show mine because that's an awesome picture that he showed. It's a brilliant piece. It is a standout. It looks just like the suit. It's amazing. But I will show you my favorite incarnation, which is the 75.
oh, I never got that.
25
Awesome.
centimeter 75. This is
I've
just the
never
standard
been able to
version.
get that. That's
And
That's
he
awesome.
is one of my all-time favorites. I just love the scale. I love he's
Look at the
movable.
articulation.
I mean, the articulation is like pretty perfect. So
I've got
love
to
this
find that.
guy.
Oh, man.
Love the gigantic. Love these Mechagodzilla. I do now after this great episode, I need to rediscover and give some love to the 93, and I promise to do that in the near future. So that's what I got to show.
That's
Okay.
What's up, fearless leader?
All right. Number 1, difficult to pick a Mechagodzilla. I actually going into this, like thinking about this episode last night, I was like, I guess I don't have that much Mechagodzilla representation in the Kaiju Cast collection. Au contraire, mon frères, because who can live without the Mechagodzilla bottle opener?
Yeah, indeed.
Not me.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Pop that head right off.
The premium Bandai
Yes.
disguised Godzilla.
Yes.
Sir.
Yeah, so good.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I need another version of a disguised one anymore. I used
I
to
agree.
search for the Marmot one for one I could afford, but now this is definitely filling that niche. Let's see, man, which one do I do here? Okay, how about this? The Noriyoshi Orai
yeah.
poster.
Oh,
man.
Nice.
that's great.
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
Okay,
awesome.
so this
here.
is less of a Monster Arts and more of a Soul of Shogoken because
love
it's
that.
actually got
Yeah.
some die-cast parts. Very, very cool.
Absolutely.
Man, and then not last,
Oh,
this is the Maru-san
Oh, right. The new Marisol.
clear
Yes.
Mechagodzilla with the guts inside. You can
Love
kind of
it.
see what I'm
oh,
talking
that's
about.
too cool.
That's a brilliant.
The guts inside glow, right?
No, some of them do. This is
Some
this one is actually the vinyl inside is just
Oh,
a silver
gosh.
vinyl.
So awesome.
Okay, and I love this one. And also for John, if I can do this
Oh,
right,
oh, don't hurt it.
the head does pop
Awesome.
off.
Wow.
So you've got your
Please, Weasel.
guy inside. Okay, so
Nice.
but I think I have a Mechagodzilla collectible that no one else here has.
Uh-oh.
Ooh, let's see.
Who
Let's see.
has a Mecha Streisand?
That is amazing.
I made this back in like 1998, so
That's over the top.
it's really old.
Have y'all seen that
That's great.
episode?
Yes.
Have y'all seen that episode of South
Episode's
Park?
amazing. Amazing.
Oh
There
my
you go.
God.
There she is.
That's awful.
Oh
Dude,
my
that-
God.
Oh my god.
I mean, if anybody is interested in that, I've got a custom made Leonard Maltin Ultraman as well. So
That's awesome.
Oh my God. The singing in that episode is
so good.
it's so fun. Like Sydney Poitier.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is so
It's
fun.
So bad. Hashtag bad. Hashtag good. You know, I've got one thing to say about that. Papa, can you hear me? Oh my God.
That's cool.
your Yentl
Y'all,
showing.
My
Yeah.
Yentl song.
that's cool.
But
Y'all
anyway.
have shown off some great collectibles. Of course, you know, the X Plus guy. All X Plus, gigantic 74, the two 30 centimeter Kiryus, 30 centimeter Mechagodzilla 93. Of course, the Death for Real 75 that came out a couple months ago.
Yeah.
This is the Rick, so it has the rainbow color eyes, and I got the
I like that
32. So pretty much, you know, I got every single version of Mechagodzilla that X Plus has ever done. If they make a Mechagodzilla City, passing seriously. But as of late, you know, we getting some more Mechagodzilla products, like what I said earlier at the beginning of the stream. John talked about the art spirits on our last episode of Collect All
Yes.
Monsters. Please go check it out.
That looks like a great set.
You know, Prime One just announced the Monsterverse one in that statue where he's
Yeah.
like, you know, curled or whatever. Again, Death Row Mechagodzilla 75 came out earlier this summer. So Mechagodzilla has been getting a lot of love as of late, regardless of the incarnation.
Tamashi Nations just announced that Kiryu is coming back to the Soul of Chogen line
Oh wow.
as well.
Nice.
So
Cool.
I'm very curious. They said something about larger, so I wonder if it's actually going to be taller like some of their 12-inch ones, or if it's
Ooh,
going to
that'd
be
be nice.
in their SH. This is our gigantic Marmot Black Gallery Mechagodzilla.
That's a cool
one of our
piece.
favorites.
That's a super cool
That's
piece.
sweet.
Yeah, it looks great.
Yeah.
It looks great.
If I can kind of get him back here with them, not quite as big, but he's a big boy.
Yeah.
And then this one's for you, John. There you go.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh yes.
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 Exposed brain.
Yeah.
Even though
all right.
even though it does jack crap in the movie, but still,
Yeah, I know, right?
the look looks great. But
It was just for
Basically,
Godzilla
you know
to
what?
be like, what?
Mhm.
yeah.
Right.
But that's pretty much gonna do for the end for this stream, where all hail Mechagodzilla. Of course, we can't keep going, but again, I want to keep these guys here just for a few more seconds, and that'll be it. We've been here for 2 hours, going on 2.5 hours. I want to thank every single one of you for watching the show that's been here with us, talking about our favorite collectibles, our favorite moments, our favorite version of Mechagodzilla. Again, thank you to Papa Russo, thank you to AJ Russo, David Eric Dopko, John Ruffin, Kyle Yount from Collect All Monsters, and from Kaiju Live. Thank y'all so much for being there for me for this fun discussion. I hope y'all had a good time and fun time. Papa
time.
Russo, you have any final words before we roll up out of here?
Yeah, I'm just curious. There's one more that hasn't been brought up the whole show. What do you guys? What's your take on Cyber Godzilla?
Oh, that's right.
98.
Oh, from the animated
Oh,
series.
right.
Yes.
Oh, fast, yeah. Wow.
Dad's actually.
Fascinating.
Can we talk?
Gorgeous.
Dad's actually
Actual,
been
I
making a
think.
custom out of remember the Trendmaster Ultimates Godzilla?
Uh-huh.
Dad's been slowly converting that into a cyber.
That's awesome.
Nice.
That was
That's
actually one
great.
of my and when I was younger, Trendmasters was basically like right in my wheelhouse as a kid. And that was one of like my favorite collectibles that we ever had. We had gotten one of the resin prototypes of the line that got canned.
That's awesome.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Because anyone that hates Gino absolutely watch the animated series because the people that made that actually like Godzilla, and you could tell.
That was a great episode.
And Cyber Godzilla was awesome.
That's
Father
true.
versus
That's true.
son, basically.
Yeah, it was
How about
actually
you,
like the
John?
first Kiryu, kind of, in a sense.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Just thank you. This has been a blast. Thank you, everyone.
I'm glad that we kind of got a peek behind the curtain of why you love Mechagodzilla and why Papa Russo loves mechas and stuff like that. So it was nice to get inside your mind, stuff like that. I do at some point, when I do the deep dive into Shin Godzilla, of course, John, I want you to be a part of it. And I want you to really go all out with that because the way you talked about Shin Godzilla in past is like I have heard so many people compliment you, the way you talk about Shin Godzilla, how you break it down, how you put it in such a great context that people can understand it. We just need more of that. We need more of these mature look at these films that, by and large, are looked upon as stupid kiddie films, regardless of the incarnation of Godzilla. And we need more people like you, like David, like the Russos, like Kyle, that present these films in a mature way that it may not be able to get everybody into the fandom, but at least it'll show them that these films are just more than just rubber dinosaur suits, trash and miniature cities. There are a lot more into these films. So thank you for doing what you do to provide a unique perspective on these films.
Can I just
David.
make a comment? Can I just throw a
Sure,
comment?
go for it.
No, when it comes to Shin Godzilla, personally, I lived it. I lived through it. So I was hoping that I remember I was in Japan for 6 weeks when they were shooting. You could go and be a
Extra.
extra. And I remember I was trying to get to Tokyo for one of the shots. I got the emails they would send out to you. You could sign up. But as the movie was coming close, I was just hoping they would make a Godzilla movie that was somehow based and rooted into 311. And I read some comments that director Higuchi-san had made. And that movie was made just like the original film was for a post-war Japan kind of, this was definitely that Godzilla's for me. It's like, yeah, I live that. That's not Godzilla in how we feel about him as being foreigners. That's real life. That's being up, getting radiation, knowing you're getting bombarded with radiation for weeks before you can go home, and having watched thousands of people die on Japanese TV when the tsunami waves were coming up, and knowing like we got to get out of here. My brother's calling his company, trying to get me a flight out of Japan, and I'm like, I can't leave. We're up on this mountain with the kids, with the students. We can't go anywhere. I mean, that was so to sit through that movie, that just those few moments. I mean, I was squirming in my seat in Tokyo watching that. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. It was like reliving the whole thing over again, watching those cars getting crushed. I was like, that was traumatic. That's Godzilla. Okay.
Basically no different than somebody from World War II watching the original Godzilla.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
So,
Japan needed Shin Godzilla.
And you know what, John? That's why we love you so much, because you're not only a pillar in our community, but like I said, you approach these films and these stories and the events, sometimes tragic events, that inspire these movies. You do it in such a very intelligent and intellectual way that makes people just want to listen to you. That's the main reason why I always advocate for the Kaiju cast. I know I kind of keep talking about that, but it's the truth. When you go back and listen to those episodes and hear Kyle and Gretchen and Dave and Martin and all of them talk about the films, and of course they have different opinions, but they do it from a place of love. They do it from a place from appreciation. And that's why I appreciate so much about the Kaiju Cast. Again, they're fun episodes. You can pop them in on your phone or your iPad and just stick them in your radio when you're like driving down the highway or working out. But the fact that y'all did that for us, for the community, I think it's a service that is priceless in my opinion. So thank you to Kyle for what y'all done for the Kaiju Cast. Thank you to John for doing what you do on a regular basis. Just y'all, every single one of y'all, and I know I'm kind of like getting a little bit mushy with this, but y'all are my friends, and I don't care. I love y'all. It's my show. I can do what I want to do. But every single one of you, Kyle, John, David, AJ, and Papa Russo, y'all have meant so much to me on a personal level. And I know I joke a lot, and I know I try to have so much fun. Sometimes crude, I admit. But at my core, I appreciate y'all for what you have done for me. It's amazing that a giant monster from Japan that was at first a tragic character, but yet has evolved into something more meaningful and more special, brought you into my life in a time where I needed it the most. So I just want to say thank you for being great people. Thank you for being good to me and to my family and to my wife on a personal level. Just thank you for being an example of why this fandom is the greatest in the world. Yes, this fandom is kind of like a beautiful bed of flowers, even though there's a weed here and there. But by and large, this has been a great community, and it's because of people like you. Great people like you are shining, sterling examples of why this community and this fandom is the best in the world. So from me to you, thank you. I love every single one of you. My hat's off to you.
Bless you.
Thank y'all for being just great people.
Ditto.
Thank you so much
for the kind words, guys.
Yes, very
Thank you.
much.
You guys are the best.
It's like when we first even started doing this, like Leslie, like I listened to the Kaiju Cast, so like when I even first was like, hey, let's transform Kaiju Live into something more, like so many of you, whether you know it or not, were inspirations for me. So and now I'm sitting here and I consider you guys my friends, so it's been great. So thank you so much.
And it's awesome because here we are. Kaiju Live is booming. Like I said, I've seen you from the ground up build your brand, build your store, and it's become one of the most popular YouTube shows involving Godzilla or Kaiju or just auction shows, whatever, on YouTube. You have a dedicated fan base every single Sunday whenever y'all do come on, and that was built through hard work. The same thing with Collectible Monsters. Here we are next month, the final episode of 2021, and it'll basically be 2 years. Can you imagine 2 years that this endeavor of Collectible Monsters has been going strong, and we're still going to keep going strong into 2022. It's just, again, rarely am I speechless about anything, but the experience that I have had being on Collectible Monsters with Kyle, with David, with John, with Christine, collaborate with AJ and Papa Russo on Kaiju Live and stuff like that. It just makes this fandom and this hobby really, really worthwhile. And on a personal level, I'm so glad that I can call y'all my friends, and y'all are like family to me. And I seriously, when I say this, I love you. I love every single one of you guys. So
You're trying to make me cry, man.
yeah, I'm sorry for the mushy moment, ladies and gentlemen, but at the end of the day, I try to be real, and I try to be as authentic as I can, and I always show love and support for those who have shown love and support to me. And these guys have always had my back. They've always had, my best interests at heart. So I'm going to keep praising them until I have no more breath into this big, fat, stretchy body. Until I leave this planet or whatever, they will always get my praise. They will always get my love. And I hope y'all have enjoyed our perspectives and our talk and our discussion on Mechagodzilla, the various incarnations. All hail Mechagodzilla. What you got to look forward to next? Like I said, our last episode of 2021 on Collectible Monsters is going down next month. If I can take a guess, it's probably going to be. I don't think we've decided yet, but
December.
If I'm the 11th, right?
The 11th,
or 18th?
Yeah, December 11th.
Yeah, the 11th. December 11th.
I'm assuming figures of the year, right? It's got to be, right?
We're gonna do, yeah. We're supposed to do collectibles plural of the year.
Yes.
And if we can get off our collective butts, also the gift guide, the 2021.
Oh yeah.
That was great last year.
Yeah.
We did a great
Right.
job with that last year. Yep.
Mhm.
And of course, Kaiju Live, y'all coming back tomorrow night, right?
Yes. Yeah, we
Okay.
took like a 3-week hiatus, and now we're going to be on for 3 weeks in a row.
Nice.
Okay,
leading up to
cool,
the
cool.
holiday
I,
season.
I got one
Nice.
thing for the share arounds coming up on the Collect All Monsters group next week. I'm doing that collection tour / Q&A / this is the last time anybody's going to be able to see it in its current incarnation live stream. That'll probably be like Tuesday or Wednesday.
Wow.
Look forward to that. That's going to be
Cool.
great.
Oh, and 2 more things I got to mention before we roll up out of here. Number 1, and David, I think you're going to love this. I don't know if you know this yet, but I got the email that the Mondo Mothra has been shipped. And
Wow.
Nice.
And
Wow.
I'm getting mine on the 24th, which will be Wednesday. So after I get off work, I more likely will probably do a live unboxing on the Collect All Monsters group.
Fantastic. I'll be there.
So David, look for that email because they're shipping out right now.
Outstanding.
That's great.
And number 2, we were going to mention this last week on Collect All Monsters, but we just didn't get a chance to do it. But I mentioned on the last time I had AJ, Butch, Philip, William, and Matt on the show, I was going to bring a versus type concept to my channel. But you know what? I talked with Kyle. I talked with my team on Collect All Monsters, and we're bringing that concept to Collect All Monsters. We're calling it Collect All Monsters Versus. And the first episode is going to be me, David. I don't want to put you on the spot here, but here's what I want to do. It's going to be me, David, and John. And how we're going to do it, Collect All Monsters Versus, basically we pick 5 random figures from our collection, and we basically battle. Basically, like, which one has the better pick. And we're having themes for each of these projects. Now, they're going to be side projects on Collect All Monsters. Cool. It's not going to be the main show, but it's going to be side projects that will come up every now and then. And the first episode is going to be between myself, David, and John. It's called Era Supremacy, which means you can pick whatever era you want to pick your 5 collectibles from. It has to be from a specific era. It can't be like Godzilla 64 and Mechagodzilla 93. It has to be from a specific era. So you can choose Showa, Heisei, Millennium, Reiwa, or Monsterverse. And we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. We'll do Gigantics, we'll do Vintage, we'll do Light-Ups, we'll do whatever the figures that we'll deem necessary for that particular project. And not only that, kind of like what we do with the collectors chats, where we invite random people to have like chats.
Yep.
This could be the same thing for Collect All Monsters Versus. So AJ, when you get the invitation, come on board. Or anybody else out there, come on board and let's battle. Let's see who has the better figures. But you know what? It's all done in fun. It is all done in fun. I think we all have great pieces in our collection. And you know what? It's always easy to talk about the new stuff that's coming out next. You know, the new big thing. But you know what? It's also cool to rediscover and fall in love all over again with stuff that you have currently in your collection right now. Because these pieces that's in your collection, you bought it obviously for a certain reason. They were probably high price. So it's easy to forget about that when you accumulate new things. But let's show love to the past stuff. And that's the purpose of Collect All Monsters Versus coming real soon. So again, Collect All Monsters coming real soon. Kaiju Live coming tomorrow night. I want to give a huge shout out to everybody in the chat that has been here with us talking about Mechagodzilla.
Wait, I got something.
Again,
I got something.
Go for it.
We are going to be doing a Holiday Bazaar garage sale for Collect All Monsters. Kyle, is that what we called it? I can't remember now.
Yep, Kaiju Holiday Bazaar. Yeah.
Kaiju Holiday Bazaar sale. So look forward to that. Details to come. You can buy the perfect gift for your significant other or for yourself this holiday season. So
Misfit Toys on Monster Island.
That's right.
Yes.
That's a great title for it. The Misfit Toys of Monster Island. I love it. Okay. Sorry. Take it back away.
But again, I want to thank everybody for being here. Papa Russo, thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. AJ, really do appreciate it. David, John, Kyle, thank y'all so much. Again,
you guys are all pillars in this hobby, so
thank you so
I'm
much.
honored.
Thank you so much.
As are you guys too. Absolutely.
Yes, indeed.
And again, all hail Mechagodzilla from 74, 75, 93, Monsterverse. Even Mechagodzilla said he deserves some love too. All hail Mechagodzilla. And as I always say at the end of my videos, we thank you so much for watching. We appreciate it, and we will see y'all again on the next figure and movie review. And in the meantime, have a happy Thanksgiving come next week. All right?
Happy Thanksgiving.
Y'all
Have a
take it
great
easy.
Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Holidays. Bye.
Have a great.
All right.
Be safe, guys.